Okay, here we are in El Gran Capitan. This is, I guess, the fourth scenario, Lautrec's last chance. The last of the historical ones. And the French have swept down, grabbed 4 of the provinces. The Spaniards, or the Imperials, hold 8 of them currently. For the most part, the French have been busy just trying to capture the unclaimed territory. Lazio doesn't count in any sense of it. While the Imperials have been shifting their baronial forces up to create sort of an impenetrable barrier. However, the Capitano Generale, the Prince of Orange, I guess, who was working for the Imperials, laid siege to Saluzzo, who had been the Capitano Generale in the last scenario. Oddly enough, he's not in this. Lautrec or Foix is. And Lautrec came down to relieve the siege, marched in. I got to learn a little bit more about the system, a little bit more that impressed me. He basically marched into the same hex, dropped an entrenchment there, and Orange felt like he had to attack Lautrec before reinforcements arrived. So he did so, and he lost. In addition to his army being demoralized, beaten up, etc., he lost his life, and we have a new Capitano Generale for the Imperials, who's better. Well, a little bit at least. I don't remember. Is Orange a 3? Yeah, Orange is a 3. This one has a lower rank, but whatever. It's not going to matter. But he's going to have to figure out some way to regroup and fall back, grab the reinforcements, which he can only muster in Principato Ultra. Meanwhile, we've got Baglioni here, investing, what is that, Arian? Is that all it is? Ariano, okay. And Vaudemont up here, kind of facing a whole bunch of baronials, which are a problem. They're like a bunch of roaches coming at you. Slow roaches, but roaches. You kind of have to stomp them, and it's hard. Bagliano's been working, he's been several turns trying to take that out. Orange was several turns trying to take Saluzzo out. It's hard to take locations, fortified locations in this system. Although some of that is me forgetting that there were some optional rules that I am playing by. With the high APs in this game, it might have been easier to take them through treachery. Of course, you can't do that once you besiege the city. And yeah, I mean, things are kind of open for Lautrec down here. His artillery is working its way down. That'll help a lot. But there are a lot of locations I have to take. And in one sense, taking Terra del Lavoro, which is where Naples is a particularly hard province to take because it has a lot of locations. And victory in this game is how many provinces you hold. So this may not be that advantageous. I just needed to relieve the siege, and it allowed me to gather my forces together. I had to split my forces up early on in the scenario with the French for attrition purposes, to prevent myself from taking too heavy a loss. But now that we're kind of in contact with the enemy or whatever, well, maybe that's different. Of course, not if he flees, and we're just dealing with all these baronial forces here. All right, I guess that's about it. It's not raid time yet, but it's getting close. And I need to brew some tea and stuff, so I don't think I'm going to play another turn before raid hits. Oddly enough, I'm awake and it's daytime, and I've been awake most of the day. Very weird. I mean, I got up, it was still dark out. I don't know how early, late it was, probably around 4 or 5 a.m. I did take a little bit of a nap, but I feel way too awake for this time of day, given when I woke up and everything. Yes, again, I took a nap, but it wasn't much of one. June turn, weather is still fair. It is almost rain time, but I don't want to let go of this day. I'm feeling more energized than I have in a while. I don't know why. Yeah, but it shows in the fact that I keep coming back up here. Something's going on. Anyway, this is not an economic or whatever turn, but we are going to see some changes in orders. For example, Lautrec here, he has a no move. He wants to get rid of his previous attack. So he will do a conversion there. I'll come back with whatever the orders changes are. I should have done it already. So yeah, Lautrec is switching over. Obviously Saluzzo is part of him now, switching to garrison. I switched Olvasto to garrison so that he can try to recover his forces. He can do it under hold, I think, but I don't know. I'll just leave him on the hold or stand, whatever. There's no harm in that. I do have one that's troublesome, though. Vaudemont here. He's got a maneuver order. I can leave that on him. I'm not going to change that, I think. Although you could make an argument he could get into here with an attack order, get me there a little faster. But I'm not sure which, if any, I want to do, right? So clearing this out of the way would be valuable, because if I don't do that, there's things that I can lose that I don't have baronials or whatever covering. The French just don't have very many of them on the board. And they only have one left that they're going to muster next turn. But whatever territory I gain is just not... everything is dangerous. Like, I move up here to attack this, well, then I open things up for this floodgate. I move in this direction, then this guy's free, all kind of problems there. If I move south, that leaves him freed up and these guys to come forward, but it does give me something where I'd be able to open up things for Baglioni. But I actually just think that Vaudemont has nowhere he can go. He's kind of stuck because he's overwhelmed with the amount of baronials that are coming at him. All those damn cockroaches. Everybody else, I feel comfortable with what they're doing. I think this is going to be a fairly quiet turn, but anyhow. This force moving up in this direction to try to garrison some of the new territory I have. Likewise, this guy came here, built some earthworks, but also holding this location. This gives me some backup. He could actually drop his dude off, and if he spends a movement point to build entrenchments, he can drop the dude off in the entrenchments, which might buy me a little bit more time. I don't know. But meanwhile, the Imperials pushing forward. This guy's up with Moncada. I don't think he particularly wants to join him, but because it's cheaper to move baronials on their own. A little road movement here, a little road movement here. Both of those moving fairly slowly, getting some crappy die rolls. That should be all my number counters. On to the leaders. I do have to do a recovery, so he can't just pass, although it may be what he most wants to do. That recovery, that's the first thing that actually happened. I can put this with him. Don't want to spend movement points because they count against me. But he rolled a 5, which is good for the reliable unit. The baronial wasn't disordered. It would be destroyed if it was. But for the very sensitive, it gave me a D. If the reliability class is V, treated as a D star, demoralized, the affected combat unit is eliminated. Ah, it's up here, the pillaging. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I lose my other big force. Now I don't have a big army at all. I'm in a lot of trouble. And, I mean, obviously, next turn, I'm going to move and try to get those replacement units. But the French have what is beginning to look like a free hand in Naples in terms of there's no real opposition to them anymore. That unit disintegrating. Now, do I know what disintegrated? Within the game, I should know what that die roll was on the recovery. And how much that means to me, I don't know. All right. Nothing's left except the French. So I will simply take their turns however they wish to do them. Not a whole hell of a lot going on here. Novato, slow-moving artillery, using the road movement. I think this was quicker than I would have had to stop here, I think, or here. And then I would be 1-2 away. Now I'm 1. I'm better off here. Okay. The Venetian miner has gone and joined Lautrec's force. This was iffy. I thought about staying here because I might want to split, I'm probably going to want to split my forces to try to siege or take a lot of things all at once. But I don't really know. There is still officially the Capitano Generale down here. I don't know how much, I know he's not capable of attacking yet, but I don't know how dangerous he is. And if I move into here and siege that, I might be at some risk. Splitting my forces up is a better idea in general, but this does give me an advantage. If I get an order to Lautrec, it encompasses all of these so that they can all operate as a single force, but I can move them forward as that single force. And I'm a little worried about my AP cost right now. Haven't been capturing anything. We gotta put this here just to remind me of the attrition check there, although Lautrec has to make one. Vaudem, he had enough points he could have done an attack order, but again, I'm not sure I really want to do that. I need to clear this guy out of there and then shift down. Left my baronial in place there as well. Just same kind of blockage as the Imperials are kind of performing. All right, to the attrition. Came of any of that. Lautrec actually, I rolled for him and got a 1. Yeah, he does have to. He's in the Terra del Lavoro area. Feels a little weird that, like, a 1 hex difference. Again, kind of like with the supply source being right on me. Look, I'm not far from these. I should be able to utilize the farms that are, so close to me or whatever. There's always gamey things because it's a game after all. And I guess that's it. Nothing came of the siege. And now it's time for raid. All right, here in the first turn of July, getting confused. Weather is fair. Have something else on my mind, which is weather is fair. This is an economic turn, of course. It is a baronial economic turn as well. And we rolled up the points. The French are at 8. The Imperials are at 18 for whatever that's worth. Of course, all the markers go away. I haven't cleared them. Importantly, the previous attacks go away, which will allow where's my commander? Yeah, which I don't know what to allow. We'll see. Orders. Lautrec has given an attack order. I can rearrange my forces. I may do that. But remember, I wanted to keep things together because I don't know the exact composition of Delfasta's force anymore. So I'm a little afraid of it, but I want to start taking things and pushing forward. Navarro, I rolled for him. He took a discipline failure, but that cost me a strength point, which is okay, and I got a maneuver order out of it. And the problem is, I don't have a lot of points with the French. Vaudemont paid to launch an attack up here. Baglioni paid to continue his siege situation. That's it over here. Over on the Imperial side, I'm really worried about my forces. One, I'm going to try to get those reinforcements that are hard to get. But second, I activated both Delvasto to go do that, but also the Imperial miners, I'm going to try to bring them into play. And Moncada here, I don't want to pay to move him, right? Because I can move this thing for free without that. But I only have 4 commanders left, which means my baronials are more limited than they were before. I do have tons and tons of points, so maybe it wouldn't be a terrible idea to get Moncada moving with that unit. It would give me an extra, yeah, I got so many points, I might as well. We'll absorb that. That'll give me a little bit more flexible, an extra baronial unit I can move. I haven't decided which ones are where, but I have placed them on the board. I guess the most interesting one is here at Capital. Capitanata, is now available, like real close to the front. But there aren't a whole hell of a lot lying around. That was the only thing. That was the only thing I think the French got. No, they got one at Brulus-au-Titre as well. Tuesday, I tried to do some things and didn't do too terribly. I ordered some lighter fluid, which I'm almost running out of. It'll probably not come to my house. It'll probably be a failed order every time I try to do it. Well, the last time I tried to do it through this, it failed. I don't know what's up with that. I think it's because I don't have a phone that they can call me, and say, hey, I'm right outside your door, can I deliver it? Because I know I caught someone with one of my deliveries. I don't know what it was, but it probably was lighter fluid, the one time that I probably succeeded in doing this. It's not like, everything's paid for, the tip and all that. So it's not like they need me to be home or anything. I don't know what the hell they need to call me, but they drive up, the time I caught someone, they drove up and parked in front of my house and dialed me, so it's not even like, are you home, can I deliver? No, I don't know. I have no idea what their process is there and what's up with that. But yeah, and I handled a couple of bills and stuff like that. And that's about the extent of it. And I also did some stuff, like I got triggered to note a couple of things down for the game that I will never create. But one of a few. But I felt a little bit engaged in that. But for the most part today, I've sort of slipped back from yesterday, where at least I came up here and played a lot of this. But anyway, Baronials, the French moved one here to join Lautrec. Well, actually, to defend this location when Lautrec leaves. This guy road moving across here. We're getting short on earthworks markers. The earlier scenarios don't allow for a lot of earthworks, but now everybody's allowed them, and Yeah, I didn't used to do them because they didn't really matter, but now they matter for defense as well, potentially. Let's see. I think that's all that the French did, and then they may have moved here. I don't know. Yeah, I think they did. Oh, this guy. What's up with this guy? Oh, he's sitting there, and he didn't. I don't know if he moved or not. There's so many of them, it's hard to do. And you see the Imperials continuing to funnel forces up. I actually thought I was able to move that one, but so I had 4 that I had already moved, so I turned him into a, I'm just sitting there doing nothing. I actually have no orders, which is kind of a weird situation that you're not allowed in the rest of the game. That's going to put me on the leaders. Just not feeling the excitement I did yesterday with coming up here. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like there's anything, you know, in the shipping or whatever that says, you know, we expect to call you or anything like that. Anyway, if there was, I just wouldn't do it. But that's my assumption. All right, so Valmont, has managed to clear all of the Spaniards, including the relatively decent Del Vasto, but he got a good roll, so he wanted to take it. He could have screwed Valmont, but Valmont's just moving 1 hex, which is why he's sort of perfect for this. When you have a high initiative leader who doesn't need to move, spend a lot of movement points, he can be used as a foil to bust up anything until, you know, a point where the enemy gets a good roll and you don't want to give it to him. I screwed up. If I was going to roll for Navarro, and I realized this after the fact, I should have given him an attack command. And if I do that, I can make it down to here, actually. He did a 1, 1.5, 2.5, 3, 4. He gets into there. He can't build the earthworks. He won't be absorbed. He won't be absorbed into Lautrec, though. Yeah, but it's just a baronial unit. It's not going to come out and fight him. And that gets us multiple interesting things. Oh, what I forgot to mention, Del Vaso actually made it into Principato Ultra, so he will be getting those reinforcements. This guy here did not, Minor Capitani, but Moncada did. I'm able to absorb those forces. I'll do that momentarily. We got a siege here, a siege there. I didn't put a marker on him. Siege here, not all of which have started yet, but all of which are possible because of the earthworks. Most importantly, I have the guns here. Now, the problem with that is I can use my artillery. So I can do a number of different things. I could do an in-hex assault, the initial assault, and I could shift things around and choose a force. I didn't worry about it. Choose a force that's going to have a decent quality and enough strength points. Choose one command, Capitan, and probably just seize it. If I get an in-breach attack, I can't actually attack. Oh, Navarro does have his troops. They're Landsnecks, and they're not great, but yeah, that might not be such a bad move. I'll have to think about that. The others are all, I think, just, well, Valmont might assault directly, just to get that cleared and then start moving down and get back into play. Because again, time is short on these scenarios. Oh, I have sufficient strength points for an immediate assault by Baglioni. What I don't have, and by the way, this should have a siege 0 on it. Siege 0 doesn't really do anything, so I don't bother to leave it. Baglioni has enough strength points, but he doesn't have the orders to do so. He's on stand orders again. And again, you know, I could have spent the AP to do that, but I didn't feel like it was all that vital. But now I see the enemy coming up my way, and I'm like, oopsie. There's no reason I had to pay 1 for the stand. I might as well have paid for the assault. So yeah, I think it's for the best. Like, I was just thinking, oh, he doesn't have the troops, which is why I put the marker there. A lot of this is like, yeah, I'm making mistakes because I just haven't internalized parts of the game. Like the fact that, oh yeah, the amount of troops that I have, I should have assaulted. That would make more sense. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, his quality is good enough. So I think we'll be seeing 3 different assaults. Well, the big question is Lautrec, whether I want to reorganize his forces and do one. I'll do the other 2, and then I'll think about Lautrec, and I'll probably come back after I do all 3. Let's go to the what happens. Up here, I haven't done the attrition yet. Up here, the assault did not succeed. In fact, Valmont now has too few troops to be able to do an effective assault. I was rolling on the +1 affecting because of the earthworks in front of the fortification at +2. I got like a 2. That hurt me. I forgot to make a discipline check. Okay. Such is, let's do that. Our quality is 3, -1 for the disruption. We'll get rid of that disruption in a moment. So our quality is 2. We would have passed, and these are both that. This disruption goes away. You're going to see that there are disruption markers in weird places. That's because I'm out of earthworks. Because they have pillage markers, which means I got some success. Baglioni, here, he succeeded on essentially that same die roll, affecting terrain because of the mountains, and ended up taking the location. He still has a disruption because he pillaged. He got 1 AP off of it. Great, whatever. When we got here, things were more difficult. So I could assault, but I can't like switch the Venetian minor troops into something else. He could take command of something, but he can only command 2 units, which is what he has. So he's kind of not that perfect for me, right? And I looked over here, and I would have been in affecting terrain because this is a major city. Is this as well? Yeah. It's a walled city or whatever, which is a penalty in terms of it's going to be affecting terrain. And my quality was not very high. And I was looking at it at like the 0 table at +2. And I'm like, things were ugly enough on the 1 table. I don't want to do that. So I reconsidered about artillery, which I was dissuaded from because the walled city also has a penalty on artillery. And then there's the fact that if Navarro manages to get a breach, Lautrec's force can't take advantage of that. But I'm like, well, I might as well anyway. I could get lucky. And I did. I got a DC result, which required the enemy to make a discipline check, which they failed, so they surrendered the city, which I pillaged as well. I don't know what I've got here now. I don't think it's enough. 2, 3, 4 out of 8 that I need. And I really want Naples. But yeah, so it worked out to be a pretty good turn for the French so far. I still got attrition to do. And of course I've got attrition checks that are impacted by like being in barren terrain. But that doesn't give you a bonus on the attrition table. It triggers an attrition roll, and I had an attrition roll triggered here anyway. I have attrition rolls triggered in each of these as well. So it doesn't really make that big a difference. It makes not in this circumstance, but I just, like, you're worried about it. you know, when you're when you're thinking about the pillages and what, do I need the APs? I don't know. The French obviously need them, and that's, you know, the pillaging, trying to force orders and stuff, just everything to save APs when your expenditures of them looks like it's going to be high becomes really, really important. And I'm actually doing much better with the French than I've done with the attackers in any other scenario I've played yet. Trek, though, has 28 strength points after I absorb Navarro into my force, in his combined big force there, which puts me way over here. He has nothing really going in his advantage. No penalties, but because the weather is so nice. And a roll of a 3 means I'm going to take 1 loss. I don't have any baronials or anything with me. I should absorb Navarro to my force. So I got to find something I want to take a loss in. Part of me says take the loss on the Venetians. I think I will. They're non-firearm equipped. Part of me says taking on the fucking Landsknechts and stuff. They can be good in some circumstances. It's funny because when, I don't know about Landsknechts, but when you look at like the Swiss, they have the same effect. And you got pikemen here. See, I think the Landsknechts aren't really pike units. When you think about the Swiss, you think about them as sort of their initial successes were actually in the mountainous terrain. And that's affecting terrain, and it's not good for you. And sometimes on the attack, you know. Now, the really impressive thing was that these pike formations were able to hold together and operate in the plains as well. But still, it's like, whoa. When you think about like spear formations, the pikes may be too unwieldy and whatnot. So this may be a later period where, you know, it makes sense that way. I don't know. Anyway, I'm taking the loss on the Venetians because if I lose the 2 Venetian strength points off their infantry, I can give them something else. But I can't give their troops away, which is kind of causing me a problem. Or I can just detach this guy and use him with his cav to run around more quickly as kind of like a baronial unit for speed. Well, since we're in this place, why don't we make a roll? We only have to roll for the unit that's under siege there. I should put a siege marker, but it may be over because he is at +2 for no line of communication, I believe. Yeah. That's not going to do, though. So, this is now under siege. You know, it's kind of cool to cut somebody off communication, siege stuff behind your lines, because it just falls a whole lot easier. This is French controlled, so this is going to be loose and able to be used, and all kind of interesting stuff like that. You know, to push forward, maybe to gather into Lautrec's force, whatever. Or at the very least, cover this, because this guy could fall back. I don't know what that would do, because then this guy could advance, you know. But anyway. Uh-oh. I hear noises. I mean, these are just like cars and stuff. It wouldn't make that kind of noise. It sounds like somebody playing with the sewage drains. All right. I think that is it. But next turn, the reinforcements do come in. And the weather may be worse. We go to hot weather in the 2nd July turn. And that's problematic in terms of attrition, primarily. I don't know if it has any other effects. I don't think so. Marmaldo shows up here. Are there any orders that we want to switch? So, this was lost. Like, I have to kind of decide on the Imperial strategy. By the way, I talk about the imperial flag. It's really weird. This is actually the Spanish flag, of all things. So I don't know what this is. This looks like the Spanish coat of arms. And, maybe the Castilian, the Aragonese coat of arms at that point. But there we're basically looking at, the symbols between what are supposedly the imperial forces. When is this scenario? I think this is after Charles's abdication, but I'm not positive. I don't remember exactly when it is. But yeah, so it's like, I don't know. But no matter what, we're talking about just a difference of the symbol used by what is essentially the same nation. Now, yeah, it would be a little anachronistic to use the Spanish symbol for the earlier period. The coat of arms would still be applicable, to be honest, but whatever. And it's not like I have control markers with whatever they're calling the imperial symbol, the Spanish flag, on them or anything. I've got that same coat of arms there. Actually, we can take a peek at one of these. Yeah, that's, I think, the same symbol. It's hard to tell. Looks like it. Anyway, we're just talking about something that's a difference of a few years, as a representation for the two countries, yet has an actual implication on the play, at least of this scenario, where you can't use. I wonder. Yeah, the Greys have their own symbol on it, which is also disturbing. Anyway, I don't know what the hell to do. I do have to think about both sides, what they want to do with their commands. So, for example, Lautrec. Look, Lautrec doesn't have any penalties on him, and he took this, so he probably wants to advance, but he might want to split his force. He's got a few extra action points. Try to grab control of this and then move forward. But then, Del Vasto also has multiple options of what he wants to do with his force. So, for example, if he wants to attack Baglioni, he's got to take an attack order to do that. I got plenty of points with the Imperials, so I don't care. If he wants to come down this way, though, that maneuver order makes sense. So I've decided to keep the maneuver order over here, in part because I want to consolidate with the Imperial miners, stuff like that, and whatever. And so Baglioni is a problem because he's sitting in a 2-point area, which means it might not be too hard to convert Principato Ultra. However, I don't really have the forces to besiege anything. I have the forces to try to defend things. We saw that when I tried to siege over here. Lautrec is keeping his attack order. Means he's going to get a prior attack. Vaudemont is as well, who's up here because he would have to pay to get a hold order or a stand order or whatever to continue the siege that way. And that doesn't seem like a good idea, even though he doesn't have the forces to assault anymore. However, I'm releasing Saluzzo to reduce the size of my force for the attrition check. And since I'm at 5-9 there, I'm safe from normal attrition, But now it's a heat turn, so he will have to actually roll on the attrition table. But I want a smaller force because there's nothing really in my way here. This might turn out badly when the Imperial forces come into contact with Lautrec. Solutions to this is for the baronials to go into quarters so that they can stay in air conditioning and all that. I haven't figured out what all the baronials are doing, but we have a lot of them going into quarters just to avoid that 1 in 6 chance. There's some danger, and that danger is enough for these guys not to go into quarters. I'm not worried about this guy. He's in clear terrain. He doesn't have to make a check, so he has no worries. These guys are in enemy territory. They have to make a check, so they'll be at that +1, but I'm also close, and enemy units could attack me, and then I would suffer the disadvantage of quarters, which I don't remember what it is, a quality level? That feels about right. Yeah, a quality level. And then they fall out of quarters and end up having to take the attrition anyway. The baronials for the French, I actually pulled out of here. Should leave a little control marker there though, because this is still French. And built earthworks there. Again, I'm forced for the disruption markers because there's not enough countermix for at various times in the game for different things. And there's plenty of earthworks for most of the scenarios, just not for this one. And moved forward here. For the Spaniards, I had a lot of sort of jiggling around. Like these guys didn't want to cross into Capitan because they don't want to take an attrition check, so they're taking a position, building earthworks behind the river. These guys just marching. These guys basically going into road march, moving a little bit, and that's it. And on to the commanders. I don't expect much to happen this turn, but I'm actually having to struggle a lot with the mechanical actions because of the heat being in place. A lot more is kind of going on that doesn't matter much. I forgot to consolidate Dalvasto's forces. Moncada was stacked with him, as was a baronial unit. So those have all been gathered together. Just something that should have happened last turn. Once attack order up here, where I'm not moving or anything, is enough to be able to force all the Spanish to go. I've managed to gather, all the Imperials, whatever. I've managed to gather everybody in there. Again, that stack is going to consolidate, assuming nobody attacks it. Can it be attacked? Well, yeah. Lautrec with his attack order could actually go forward and hit it. He's just split his forces, though. He wasn't expecting them to come back, and now he's in a tricky position. I don't know what he wants to do, to be honest. What's kind of cool in this, a lot of games will have interception, and this has well, it doesn't really. Interception and battle avoidance type die rolls and stuff. This handles those things without that kind of die roll. Now, the bubble map games and area games, look, they're going to have something. But even hex games will have something like that. And I think the Berg Ancient World or whatever, Wars of the Ancient World, I don't know, Great Battles of the, it's not Great Battles. I don't know what it is. But anyway, with this, things you do in the game, such as building earthworks, can prevent a battle from happening. As we saw in the major battle situation that was between Orange and Lautrec. You're not able to just withdraw from the space, but you're able to withdraw from a space if your initiative is right, and you're also able to intercept if your initiative is right and move into the space that the enemy's in or whatever. You're not able to intercept them as they pass by. That's the one thing. But the movement rates tend to be relatively low, so you have opportunities. There are some situations where an enemy can slip past you where maybe they wouldn't necessarily be able to do as easy a job, although you can do things like cordon a river with baronials and stuff like that so that you have an opportunity to hit them. Land transport, transitioning, I don't know. Moving through most overland territory is not expensive, so as long as it's hills, heath, or clear, you don't have to pay a hell of a lot. It's the same prices as the secondary road, for example. Sheep track. Okay. Where you're moving through nasty terrain, though, where there's mountains, forests, and stuff like that, the movement rates become almost negligible for the most part, because, I mean, the best you're going to get out of a movement allowance for infantry is like 6 hexes, 7 if you've got, you know, the Swiss or whatever. But generally, it's 6 hexes, and you're probably not going to get that. Like baronials, very seldomly, the base is 5. You can get 1 extra movement point. The baronials have a 1 in 6 chance of getting that extra movement point, and much, much more likely that they're going to only get like 2 movement points. Sometimes not enough to cross a river. Decided we won another major battle. Presumably relative. It's kind of interesting. They give Lautrec a decent initiative in this, but they give him that W, which makes it hard for him to bring the enemy to bear. You know, makes it more expensive for him to take the attack order. In EU, he's given, I think, a relatively good battle rating and like a really crappy maneuver rating, which means he's not likely to do much at all. Now, again, it's at a different scale, and transiting whole regions in EU is somewhat different from being able to maneuver, you know, and cut off enemy positioning and whatever. But the two ways of assessing his capabilities, and I don't know his combat, you know, his military maneuverability and capabilities through history anywhere near what I'm sure the designer of this has put effort into, or the designer of EU, which is to say I know nothing about him, basically. But they have different effects, right? So the decision of how the game is designed can make it so that you can reflect aspects of a leader in different ways. And it's just a very interesting thing. Like, you can make something very, very complicated and give all kinds of different ratings to someone. And that's kind of what this is doing, right? It gives him one that determines how easy it is for him to move, but another factor that makes it more expensive for him to actually launch into an attack. He's got no real particular advantages in military capability, but, you know, like this artillery Novato under him, that might be subsumed into his counter in EU, because Novato is not in the game. Foix or Lautrec is. I'm assuming they're the same person. I think it's in the right era. It's in the right general era. It might be a different Foix. Anyway, though, the big thing is we have decided to do the attack, even though we've split our forces and thus are at a slight disadvantage compared to what we might be. But our view of it is, if we can knock this thing out, then we can split our forces up and take a lot of the baronials on. As long as it's sort of operating in our general area, we have to keep our big force together, take heavy attrition losses. Not really something we want to do, and we won't be able to take as many locations, although APs are going to be a problem no matter what. But yeah. That siege, nothing exciting is happening. He's dropped below his points. There were no recovery, no forces that are able to recover anywhere at all. Everything's recovered that can, which means we flow into another major battle. Ruh-roh. And importantly, Lautrec has earthworks. Delvasto does not, and he has 3 different forces here, only one of which can be in the castle. It'll be the baronials, but I don't know. Because this Imperial Miner went and joined. I didn't realize quite how much of a risk I was putting Delvasto's force at. So the fact that he's got a separated force that he can't consolidate is going to cause potential problems. I believe the major battle takes precedence over any kind of skirmish possibilities, which means these guys are just not there yet. The rules are scattered about, especially given that I'm playing with the optional combat rules. And the fact that there kind of are optional combat rules creates a mess. Let me explain. This hex contains a total of 4 forces. Lautrec's force, Delvasto's force, the Imperial Miner's force, and a separate baronial unit that's there. Okay. I can hide the baronial in the fortress. Or I could hide the Imperial Miner in the fortress if I want to do that. Whoever's got the highest initiative is of some importance. They get to choose one battle to conduct first. Okay, so it's the Primo Capitano with the highest printed initiative. If more, a bonus star. So our highest initiative is Delvasto. He does not want his smaller forces to be picked on, so he's going to force Lautrec. Well, he's going to attack Lautrec because Lautrec's got earthworks and he doesn't. I believe that's... He must decide to attack or be attacked, and he cannot compel Lautrec to attack with his earthworks. So he has to actually make the choice. He has to actually launch that attack. So the major battle will happen. Lautrec will be on the defense, even though he swung in there. He got the extra movement point to drop the earthworks into place. It's almost like he got the jump on the enemy and took up a blocking position that's problematic for the Imperial. What we do is we can shift our troops within the force to reorganize them. And to do this, Delvasto has assigned 2 commanders, Gonzaga and Moncada, to hold all his troops. Gonzaga is going to have all the regular type of units. Moncada is going to have all of the baronials. I haven't decided on my chits and whatnot yet. Lautrec, he's going to get 2 earthworks markers. He's divided his forces up to Navarro, the Venetian miner, who he's kind of forced into, and then himself. And that's all his commanders, so all 3 of his are going to be in play. I've reshifted the forces to give Navarro less troops so that I have kind of a striking force with Lautrec himself. I don't know how the placements are going to go. The attacker, in this case Delvasto, has to place a piece first. But first I have to pick my counters and think about all that. Again, you know, it's a relatively detailed system, even without the optional combat rules, but when you start adding the chits and everything and dealing with this battle board, it does become a little bit more complicated. But the major battles are almost as complicated in the core system as the optional rules. The optionals, I don't know how I feel about them, to be honest. I've assigned the chits. Ferrante is taking firearms and combined arms because he has both of these capabilities. Firearms is useful, I believe it's when attacking entrenchments. The defender firearms gives him a bonus, but now the attacker firearms gives him a bonus as well. Since I'm an attacker, I might as well take it. And then with Moncada, I'm taking formation. Why? I don't know why. In case I want to do something weird and put him in the reserve or something. And muster. Muster is there to allow me to get out of the battle easily. I looked over here. Navarro and the Venetians are taking the earthworks, both of them. The Venetians are eligible for combined arms, so I'll take that. That's a nice bonus no matter what. I don't have firearms. I have firearms here, but I want to use the artillery chip to be able to use Navarro's advantage. And between that and the earthworks, that's going to give me kind of a bonus. Now, the river lines, I'm very disturbed with the way the rules work with them. Those would also be counters like this and not apparent to the enemy. However, when I start thinking about earthworks, like, again, it's something static that you should have to announce ahead of time so that the enemy can kind of avoid them. How visible are those? Yeah, that's a little bit more questionable. It's not as clear cut as, hey, he's behind the stream, I probably shouldn't attack him. I think I'm going to make them be revealed as well. And then Lautrec, I took the firearms, which he's eligible for, and again, bonuses in both directions there, so that's great. I took the muster because these guys have everything. I could have taken something like a formation, again, to hide a unit, or put something in the vanguard. Having something in the vanguard is kind of useful because you control who's in the lead and who deals the first blow, as it were. And I'm kind of torn between, look, if I lose this battle, kind of no matter what, I'm probably losing the war. So I'm kind of thinking about formation instead of muster so that I can put Lautrec in the vanguard. I could put Navarro in the vanguard and put the Venetians in the main. The problem with that is if the main breaks, the battle is lost. So, but I might be able to shift units out of the vanguard into the main. So I got to look a little bit at the rules. I also have to swap my battery. Yeah, I don't see anything that allows me to move out of the vanguard into the main body, which will mean that if I put something in the vanguard, I might get an initial advantage, being able to launch an attack out of the vanguard, being able to control some of what's going on. But I'm increasing the overall risk in the battle. I don't know. I don't know. See, the thing is, Lautrec would be able to pick his... So, Ferrante has been placed here. I would be able to pick my attack with the main battle. I would still get my artillery fire when we get to the main battle. It's not like that's going to be canceled out. Yeah, I think I'm going to put Lautrec in the vanguard, which means I'll put Navarro in the main body as my first pick. He'll go into the main body. Minor captain goes there. I play, not this. I don't go in with a muster. I go in with a formation chit, which I have to play. It doesn't really matter. It's gone. But it's one of the two chits that Lautrec had on his chart. That's the only importance is setting them up. You know, nobody can have more than two, blah, blah, blah. All right. That means we go to the vanguard fight, and Lautrec gets to pick an enemy. Now, how much do I know about the enemies? I am in the same space, but I don't think I know their card, what's on their card. And they got to reorganize them. Let me take a look again at anything about information there. But it is kind of weird to like select a combat with something kind of totally blind. There isn't anything specific that says you can't look at those cards and what's on them. That's just been sort of an assumption. At least I can't find anything that says it. On the other hand, I don't feel like you should be able to paw through and understand what's there. But I think I do have a vague idea that there's, 8 strength points here and 3 here, right? Given that, Lautrec is going to attack. Oh, no. Vanguard goes first. Lautrec is going to attack Ferrante, taking on that larger force. That means that this guy is now must engage one of these. Well, he could actually go fight Lautrec as well, conceivably. And that might actually be the best move. But then I could intervene and break him off. And it's not particularly a good idea for a small force to attack a larger force. So there's reasons not to do that. And by engaging in that way, I end up with, I mark my firearms chit for Lautrec. Ferrante also has firearms. Combined arms only works in attack, I believe. An engaging core, and nothing about engaged core, no use in defense. Yeah, okay. That means the 2 firearms cancel each other out, and we have just a normal conduct here, which is going to be, oh wow, Lautrec's got shitty troops though. 10 strength points versus Ferrante's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now note, he had cav, he didn't want to take a charge option. He only has light cav. The combined arms is a much better option. 10 to 8 means no modifier there. Lautrec is the attacking side. So we look for the combat table. It's, oh, that's attrition. That's not going to help. Really wish the discipline, I don't know. 10 to 8. My quality is a shitty 1. Whereas Ferrante has a 2. So we are in non-affecting terrain here. On the -1 table. Yeah, this isn't going to go too well for Lautrec. I roll a 5, not a bad roll, but the attacker takes a hit and has to make discipline checks. I'll take the hit on my shittiest unit. We flip over and look at quality, and it's 1 or 2. I roll a 3. The 1s fail. They take another hit, and the 2s pass. So that did not go well for Lautrec. That's the Vanguard fight. Now we go to the main battle. And we can resolve artillery fire first. I launch Navarro with the artillery fire. I want to shoot at Ferrante. He's my bigger problem. So I do so. I got 4 firepower on him. And I look for the table that allows me to do that. Give me too many player aids and I got problems. Okay, so I'm at 4. The weather's fine. Am I in a hill? No, I'm in normal clear terrain. I'm not in earthworks. So there is there should be a +1 here. There's something for his A. I don't remember what it is. It may be that he can fire infinite number of rounds, which is not all that cool. Always added into the odds determination on the assault table. During a major battle, if he plays artillery, he can fire an unlimited number of rounds as long as no more than one round is fired per battle round. Okay. There is an option, like normally you have two rounds of fire, and discussing with the designer, it's stated in two different ways in the rules, and the designer indicated that his intention was you can fire both rounds at once, or you can fire both rounds of artillery fire at once, or you can fire one in each of 2 rounds. Normally you would want to fire them both at once probably, but with his artillery capability, he wants to just continually fire instead. So he can't fire more than one in a single round. So we're looking at 4 points of artillery. He doesn't get any kind of bonus on this. He doesn't get any kind of penalty either, though. Gets a 4. That's a DC. That's going to be a discipline check on Ferrante. Ferrante has qualities 2 and 3 units. No modifiers that I know of. And he's going to do just fine under the artillery fire. Okay, there are no charges. And then we go to, as we flip around all over the place, we go to the main body engagement, which is going to be paragraph 1.1.2 in the optional. I think engagement is a contest. I think the HIF has to declare first. I'm going to have to look and see the ordering of this. So it's done highest initiative first. Ferrante has the highest initiative, but I didn't put him in the, or Del Vaso has the highest initiative. I didn't put him in the battle. Moncada and Ferrante each have 2, have a 2 and a 3. Novato has a 2. The Venetians have a 1. So Moncada is my first one. I'm going to declare an attack. Let's take a peek. We'll declare an attack on the Venetians. And now they're engaged. This is engaged, so I can't use Ferrante even if his turn comes around. But I don't launch the attack yet. I do all the declarations first. Now the only free thing left is Novato. I could throw Novato in and assault. But I think he gives up his earthworks if he does so. So we will move to the actual resolution. The resolution, does this fight, did that fight already happen? Is my question. The engaging corps attacks the engaged. Okay, this one engaged this. This engages this. So in the Vanguard fight, this gets handled. And there's not really an easy way to demonstrate this. But luckily, it's not that complicated. So Moncada has 3 strength points at 1. In affecting terrain. Let's get the earthworks is defender bonus. Yeah, okay. 3 strength points at 1, facing, and unfortunately I'm not the attacker here, and I kind of can't be because I'd have to give up the earthworks to be, to 2 strength points doubled is 4. At quality 2, at quality 3 make it, because they're both the same. Okay, which means this thing is attacking at not an odds that makes a difference, but at -2 on the affecting table, which is not good. He gets a 3, that's going to be a 2 and a D. That's going to wipe him out. I think I can still play the muster chit. Otherwise, I got some issues. But he is essentially demoralized back here on his attack. That will put us to the next round of combat. How does Ferrante feel all alone? Well, he feels like he really wants to try to win this battle and doesn't want to run away again. So, plus, he'll be risking these additional forces and the siege and all kind of nasty shit. So he does want to fight this battle. So we go to another round, which means Lautrec gets to attack again. Now, that attack didn't go well last time. Lautrec is at 8, but he's now quality 2 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at quality 2. So Lautrec should just be on even. Both have firearms in non-affecting. That's a 5. That's a very good roll. The defender takes a hit. Has to be on a quality 2 unit. That light cav is kind of iffy. Oh, he's the one with combined arms. Yeah, but he doesn't get to attack because he's the engaged unit. Wow. Yeah, he got kind of fucked by that. Okay. He takes a hit and has to make a morale check. He's got 2s and 3s. Rolls a 4. The 2s take a failure, which may be an SP loss. This guy takes an SP loss. This guy is demoralized. My combined arms chit has been negated because that's been demoralized. That puts me back to the main battle side of things and the artillery fire. I'm going to fire my artillery at Ferrante again. It's 4 guns, nothing special. We get a 6, another good result. That's a 1 and a B. A B is a breach. That doesn't really matter. There's no DC on a number, is there? No, there is. Has to make a discipline check. And if I'm hitting a Swiss or Landsneck, it takes more. Well, we'll take it off the quality 2 unit. And that force has to take another discipline check. And it's at 2s and 3s. Oh, he's fucked. Okay, the 2 is demoralized. The 3 gets a for fuck's sake. It's also demoralized. Ferrante has just been defeated, which means Del Fasto's entire force has been demoralized. That means I think we go to pursuit. And then we fight additional battles in the hex. Make sure that's not something interested in me parking out there. No. It was loud. Yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure at least one time, like one time I remember having to go down the hill because somebody was just parked there and doing nothing. And I think fiddling around with their phone trying to get in contact with me. Another time though, I remember something showed up outside my door and it had like a little card saying thank you or whatever, you know? Like, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've had 2 experiences with this and they weren't both a matter of me having to intercept the goods. Oh, well, 3 experiences. You know, because one completely failed. And the time they completely failed, they claimed they didn't have the resource, they didn't have the material, the product I was asking for, which was, again, lighter fluid. It's just weird because, like, if I order lighter fluid through Amazon, it's like $7 a bottle. If I order it through Walmart, it's like, including their payment for delivering it, it's a little over $3 a bottle. If I go out and get it myself, it's like $2.50 a bottle. So it's like, yeah, let's get it delivered, because they don't sell it at supermarkets. They don't sell it at drugstores. I don't know where you can buy it anymore. I mean, you can get it at Walmart and I assume Target, but those are a fair distance away in ways that I don't want to walk, in places that are kind of yucky. Like, in my opinion, they look kind of like Phoenix. The rule I was looking for. In addition, when all combat units in a force become demoralized, the force receives an immediate retreat order. If its initial retreat order, it may only select a retreat standard garrison. If attacked, okay, so yeah, I fucked that up. All right, so, but that's what I thought the rules were. So Del Vasto takes a retreat order now, and he's pursued for leaving the hex. He's not going to get any he doesn't get any negation because his mustard chit, whatever, he was unable to play. He got demoralized before he could. And even if you can play the mustard chit, it doesn't guarantee you get out of there for free, as we saw before. And the pursuit. Pursuing force, no. I don't think I have any stratiots. And there's no movement points. Let me make sure. That's a stratiot. I have a +1 because the Venetians are with me. I should have rubbed the blue die, but okay, so cav times 70%. I've got 1 cav, so that's 1 hit, and 30% of the infantry. 1, 2, 3, 11, so 3. So I'm doing 4 hits on him. It would hit artillery first, then infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all that's left. I'll put that over here and unemploy everyone else. And he's got to retreat his full movement allowance, and he has the retreat order, but he can stop it if he hits a location. Head back to Naples. I gathered this, and both Moncada and Marmaldo were killed, captured, whatever, in the course of the battle. But we're not done yet. Okay, because there's one force inside the inside here, but there's still this minor captain outside who can't avoid a battle. So we go to the next engagement side of things. This is probably counterattack. I'm gonna have to swap batteries again. Okay, the HIF decided to attack or be attacked by one enemy force. Lautrec was not the HIF, it was Del Vasto, who was the HIF, who declared the attack. We determined the type of combat. The battle hex is still contested. The Primo Capitano with the highest initiative, opposing to the HIF, that'll be Lautrec, now performs the step as above. I am going to force the Imperial Miner to attack me as well. Now, this is not a major battle, so we can switch and get these chits out of the way. Okay. This is not a major battle anymore. Lautrec has these under him. This goes here. These go there. And we have Lautrec. Let's just play this all out. We have this guy, and we have the Minor Capitano. And Lautrec is sitting in earthworks. He's going to force the Minor Capitano to attack him. This is going to be a skirmish. Force decline decides to attack, and he decided he didn't want to. If a friendly force compels an enemy to attack, the friendly force will be the defending force. This will be a skirmish. There is no retreat before combat because you have to be demoralized for that to happen. I feel like there should be an option. And we go to the skirmish rules, ignoring the major battle rules, those rules we don't use. And we are doing an encounter attack because actually neither side was in that hex. Well, wait. I don't know. But certainly at least one was not. Players take their Capitani and randomly select one of them for the fighting Capitano. Okay. There's only one force which can attack here, and Lautrec, his force is randomized. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Novato is the one who's hit. Now I have entrenchments in my place. Where are we? So we do a skirmish against that. Now, there is an artillery fire step first. So he gets to fire his 4 artillery. How many times? That's siege. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's just on the attack. Artillery SP are not included unless defending alone. Yeah, we don't get an artillery fire. Okay, so Novato has 2 at 2, and the Imperial Miner has 3 at 3. This is affecting, not 2 at 2. 2 at 4, because I have the earthworks. Doesn't really matter, because it's not going to affect a 2-to-1 odds. But it means that we're at +1 on the affecting table. And we get a shitty 1, which is a 1D. I must take the loss on the 3, because I use that quality. I can demoralize the 3. The losing side would be the smaller fort. Oh, I got to do a quality check. I don't know which to lose. This isn't a matter of, uh-oh, I gotta swap batteries. It's a matter of rules, this is a matter of optimization, okay? So, if I demoralize him, he's got a better chance of being demoralized. But, if I demoralize this, then I only have the one strength point automatically, and I probably am gonna take the pursuit hit. Well, I don't know. Novato isn't going to be able to pursue me. Oh, gosh. I will take the demoralization on this because I think demoralized units have to be hit first. And that means I take a quality check. It's a quality 3 unit. And, oh, it fails. It takes it for fuck's sake. Okay, so that's flipped over, but it doesn't really make much difference. Okay, and now we go to pursuit. And Novato can pursue me with 2 infantry. That's not going to be very effective. But he rolls as good as he could, which is 40% of 2 is 0.8, that's 1. He kills the remaining unit. The Imperial Miner is gone. But as a generic, I think I get to keep him. I don't know, but I'm not gonna spend my time looking that up. He would have retreated otherwise, so we're gonna put him over here as something that I can recover. This is going really well for Lautrec. And now, there are still contested hecks. He is allowed to declare a siege. They took his units out of there. He's allowed to declare a siege on Aversa here. And take the minor Capitan, put him over here. And he's allowed to engage with his artillery because he has an attack order. He has 4 guns. I have engineers, which I don't want to use. I have my siege artillery. I roll well, which means a discipline check. This is quality 1 shit. But a 2 passes. So we did not get a breach, and the siege level is actually 0 here. And this goes away. That was pretty intense, to tell you the truth, right? Okay. And now we have attrition. It's heat. I'm going to have several possible places. Lautrec is one, which is going to have to be checked. I have to check Valmont's up there. I'll be back. So I got confused several times there. Lautrec lost a strength point. I took the Venetians off for that. Fine. And there was nothing up here. But there was nothing anywhere. But I checked this space, got a 6 for it, and then I'm like, wait a minute, he doesn't have to worry. He's not in enemy territory. He doesn't even have to roll, so the +1 doesn't matter. These guys checked. They didn't get hit, but Baglioni got hit. Now he's in a place where he has to check because it's pillaged, but for the same reason this guy doesn't have to check. He's in quarters, so he negates the heat disadvantage, which means everything's done. We're in August. If this game has anything reasonable about it and I can do anything reasonable, the French should win it. But it's hard. There's just so many like little baronials all over the place. There's no effective force by the Imperials that can really withstand me. So if I can split up and have enough APs to operate, I will be able to capture territories. And I'm not really sure that Livorno is the best place to go, but the problem with not taking Livorno, like right now, I'm sitting with, not that, one. So this is actually really important because this is where my supply source is coming from. I'm sitting with, what, 1 here, 2, 3 out of 8. If I take this, that brings it to 4, 5. I got to take more places. And it's only worth 1 province. But if I don't do that, then I have to worry about the covering possibility and the possibility of all these baronials being able to kind of ooze in and into Molise or something along those lines. So I really kind of have to deal with that. And at the same time, yeah, I have a few small forces, Vaumont, Baglioni, who can take out some things. But right now we're still looking at that 4 and 8 balance. And there's not a hell of a lot of time. And it takes a while to even just take a fortress, as you can see. This thing's still under siege. This thing took a couple of turns to take. It's hard to do. Now, Lautrec has the advantage. He has some artillery. That's helpful, but it doesn't guarantee anything. Anyway, that's it. I need to break. There's no question about that. My stuff still hasn't come. I don't know if and when it will. We enter August, an economic turn. The heat is still there. The Spaniard, or the Imperials, got like 3 points. The French got their full 5 again. And it looks, you know, a decent amount of points for the amount of commanders. But then when you start thinking about it, it really doesn't. Now, the only thing that's helping is by consolidating forces. So it feels a little weird to me when, like, the Gran Capitano or whatever, the Capitano Generale, whoever's in charge of your force, and you could have more than one, and it's not necessarily a good thing. At first, I thought it was a great thing because you can consolidate your forces, but APs are so limited. But they have to pay a higher price. Whether they're alone, whether they have very little forces with them, whatever, actually motivating them to do what they want to do. Now, to some extent, you can kind of argue, look, the command points are with them. That indicates an army center, etc. So they are going to be more expensive. But they're not with all of them if you have multiple. They're with one at a time. Anyway. So I look at the points and I'm like, yeah, but I don't have all that many. Anyway, I have a couple of units under previous attack. They're not going to be able to launch another attack without making a check. As far as the Imperials are concerned, they're regular forces. They're going to try to recover them, but they basically don't have any. They're limited to their baronials. They have a shit ton of points. It doesn't matter that they got 1 less than usual. And the French, who are, you know, dealing with a longer supply line, got their full amount, which is rather large. The big question is, do I have enough time to take the provinces that I need to? And this is not the last turn. This is the turn after the last turn, I believe. You know, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns. It's pretty hard to capture a lot of territory in that little amount, of time. It doesn't feel like a little amount of time. What about my saga? Well, hey, y'all saga. So yeah, I've been worried about, and because I have this to worry about, this shows you something about, you know, how easy my life is, but because I have this to worry about, it kind of blots out a lot of other things in my mind, which is a way to kind of decrease the pain and everything. Having things to worry about gets rid of that pain. just like having things to do or whatever. It doesn't mean it goes away completely. It's just my life usually is without any worries in a lot of ways, except these big existential type problems. But anyway, I've got this, the lighter fluid issue, right? So I ordered lighter fluid yesterday. It said it would arrive yesterday. Then I got a message saying it would be late, it's been delayed, and said it would arrive yesterday by end of day. But it said it had been delayed by a day, which is just weird because I ordered it yesterday. This is the exact same pattern that followed last time. But here's what's interesting also. There's sort of this tracking type thing. Now, you can get it on your phone, but I don't have a phone. But you can click on the email, and it takes you to where it is in the process. And it says order placed. It doesn't say they packed it out, set it out for delivery, or anything like that. And it does. And this is, again, the same experience I had last time, where it's like, I don't know if it's a delivery issue or an issue on their end, right? You know, if I follow their timeline thing, it looks like an issue on their end. If I follow previous experience, well, the last time that I did get a package delivered through them, I had to go intercept it down on my street. And it would make sense to me that they don't really maintain the status of the shipments out there. You know, again, there's one thing about UPS or the mail service, well, the postal service doesn't really do this, but UPS kind of tracks your package in a pretty detailed way. And it feels kind of like Walmart is just sort of mimicking that in appearance, but maybe just doesn't have the capability to do that. So they may just leave things in a given state, even though, you know, just because people don't bother, you know, scanning it and saying, oh, it's out for delivery or whatever. Although if they don't, you'd expect that all their mechanisms are based, you know, they have to scan an item and say, hey, you know, this is being shipped and whatever. Somewhere or another there has to be a recording of it, but it may just not be hooked up to their website, or who knows. So, you know, I'm at this. I don't think it's going to come, because the last time this happened, it didn't come. Eventually they sent me a cancellation, paid, you know, gave me my money back. But it, like this time, took a couple of days, and I don't have very much lighter fluid left. I have enough to probably be able to order some from Amazon and have it shipped. And I certainly have enough that I could go out and, you know, enter the rest of the world and get some. But it's just really funny that, like, you know, I'm facing the same kind of thing and have the same kind of questions that I had last time of, yeah, are you delivering it or not? You should know whether or not you have the material by now. Like, that it's in order placed, but we can't figure out if we have it or something like that just feels fucking weird. But maybe it's a situation of, yeah, we don't have that in this store. We can't supply you. Of course, you know, when I get on the website and made the order, it said there were a quantity of 2 left. That just doesn't even make sense, you know? And a lot of things do that. They act like, you know, they set a number, and just that number's there, and it kind of doesn't reflect anything except like this worry that you really should order because you might not get what you want. There are 2 left. You know, there's some small number left for individual bottles, and I ordered like a box of bottles. I don't know. Anyway, let me get to issuing new orders and switch batteries and all that kind of stuff. As I try to extend my talkie time, yeah, my legs are really bugging me, again, I kind of had to force myself to come up here. There have been, you know, a couple of days ago I was really excited to play. At this point, I feel like, you know, all the main events of the game have happened, but I don't know who's going to win, which I guess is of some interest, but isn't really a lot of fun to play, I guess, either. So I signed my, oh, no, I didn't. Haven't figured him out yet. I'll be back in a moment. My points. Let's take a look. Well, we can take a look at Baglioni to begin with. I gave him an attack order. He'll be leaving quarters and going to someplace like this to start sieging it. This is, here's where the borders start getting fucking annoying. This is just floating out there. It actually doesn't matter. I could take that. I want to siege locations, but part of it is I have to kind of pay attention. And I think I counted that as part of Principato Ultra before. So Principato Ultra has 1, 2, 3. Actually, I am not going to give him an attack order. I'm going to give him a maneuver order. I think that gives me more flexibility for the next turn. Because I don't actually need to attack. I can take Principato Ultra without clearing this road. However, in terms of taking other things, it becomes really iffy. Yeah, we'll give him the attack order. I need to clear that fucking road. I need to clear that road. Not that, I don't know. All right. Saluzzo is back here. He has an attack order to start taking stuff in the Terra di Livorno. Lautrec has loosened the Venetian miners, and they made a roll, got themselves a maneuver roll with no maneuver action with no penalties. They can march up this way. This is part of the thing. They can take this, this, and this on their own. Of course, they don't have any baronials or anything with them, so they can't garrison stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Valmont still conducting his siege up here, and of course Lautrec also conducting his siege, so they've got stand orders, and we talked about Baglioni already. That's all I have. Now, I have the capacity to use all my baronials though. Over here, I've got a garrison order to recover my forces. Doesn't really matter. All I'm doing is trying to hold Naples. My commander is almost useless at this point. Except for one thing. If he's captured, there's an automatic victory. If the remainder of the commandants, if there's no, what was it? I don't know, I think it's, if there's no Capitano with at least a 3. Let's see what the victory is. No, that's just for the French. So yeah, all of the Imperial commanders could be destroyed, and you could still win the game. And that looks likely, to tell you the truth, with the amount of barons I have. But I'm only allowed to move 2 of them. And of course, if I lose all my Capitanos, I'm not allowed to move any of them anymore, which would be pretty impressive. The French have to figure out their orders again. They probably can command all of theirs. I'm not sure. Big chances with some of them. Like this guy who's in quarters here, I could have activated him with the thought of, well, maybe there's something I can eventually take with him. But, you know, he's got someone facing right here who could just take that location right back if I'm not careful. So I can't. This is the thing. I've got to take territory and hold it against the baronials. And if there's anywhere where I leave a gap for from the baronials, there's some risk that the Imperials can just take territory back and prevent me from capturing something like Terra di Livorno or whatever. There are very few of the Imperials that are moving though. This guy down here, who's probably a huge mistake to be moving, but I'm just like, oh, he's on the road and, you know, on the road again. And the other one is up here again. not there, here. Again, someone who's kind of loose, and I'm hoping to slip him through and cause some sort of disruption in the backfields. For the French, I've actually got a shit ton of them. Well, maybe not a shit ton. Got here, I've activated this guy who can kind of shift over. I'm not sure how much they can do. They can grab empty spaces like this and fortify it and prevent the Imperials from taking them, but I can take those spaces and count them. It's just a matter of, yeah, then what do I do about the baronials that I've left there? Unlike the Ferentino's War, which allowed the attacker, the Spaniards in that case for the most part, to gain territories by occupying, by entering them. They could take control of territories and end up, well, they probably wouldn't end up getting any of the baronials. One thing I can hope for is that attrition takes some of the Imperial baronials, because I really need to get the baronials out of the way. There's just too fucking many on the board, holding too many locations, and if some of them start starving off, then I can walk through their territories. And I'm doing things like moving both of these, but I can't really afford to move this one. The only reason I can is that this guy can fill in the gap here. And then there's nothing that stops the French ones from dying of attrition, and if they're moving around, especially in enemy territory, that's more likely than the Imperial ones dying of attrition. Now, putting things in quarters looks dangerous to me, although if I really, really thought about it, I would be like, this guy's safe, this guy's safe. This guy doesn't have to worry, but this guy's safe. I can, actually, though, he's not in any danger. He's in friendly territory, and there's not mud. There's not rain, so he doesn't even have to roll. But yeah, there might be a few who I'd want to put into quarters who aren't. It doesn't really cost me anything. I don't want to think too hard about it. There's too many of the fuckers on the board. Oh, this guy. This guy's in earthworks here. And way too many of those disruption counters replacing earthworks. Moved what I can. Let's look at the couple of French here. This is a chaining. The guy who was here moved here. The guy who was up here then moved down. Couldn't move them both into the same place at the same time. This guy was up on the road here. He came down to handle a threat that was being pushed this way. The guy up here is shifting down this way to maybe cover this one. To maybe cover this location. But there's some danger that, the timing, the alternating and everything. Of course, I have the advantage that the French get to go first and they have more. So they should be able to outmaneuver most of the Imperial ones. Of course, this guy running along the road. And now we come to the individual, the actual commanders. See what they do. And I realized I cheated. I spent for commands for Baglioni. I could not have. He would have had to check. He has sensitive troops. That probably wouldn't have gone well. I'm leaving it be. But again, it's very hard to pay attention. The borders, the supply lines and everything, if there weren't a lot of pieces, maybe it would be easier. But as it is, it's just really, really tough to not cheat in this game. I mean, sensitive is not good. I'd only succeed on a 1 or a 2. And I need to be able to enter enemy locations. That's the whole problem. I think I give myself that point back. I wouldn't have been able to do him. I just wouldn't have been able to give him orders. I can't I can't trust myself to. I put him back under whatever the hell I had him in. He was here under quarters. Yeah, because it wouldn't really be reasonable. That means the minor Capitani is going to actually, let me see what he did. 1, 2.5, 3.5. Oh, that's not pleasant. Okay, we'll end up back here after converting these two. Now, that means in Principato Ultra, I can't count this, but I have 1, 2, 3. That's going to be enough to give me control of the province, which is cool, I guess. And it opens up nothing. See, I need to take this is why I wanted to take this space, was to clear the roadway. And then when I thought about that for a moment, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work very well. But I can't just abandon this. It's too easy for the Imperials to slip in there if I'm away for a couple of turns. So I think I have to do this and hope for the best. Maybe Lautrec gets lucky, you know. That's really what I'm looking at here. Maybe I get lucky and can open up a roadway so that I can issue commands. There really aren't a lot of other options available to me. All right. Showing though, even though I'm getting comfortable with the system and beginning to see some of the consequences and everything, it's still so clunky that I can't always catch these. You know, it's like the visual representation is just not giving me all the information I need as quickly as I need, even with a fair amount of comfort with playing on this map. Something else that feels a little weird, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Saluzzo just moved. He walked across the road, coming into this location, and built earthworks. Now he's going to have the earthworks advantage capabilities available to him. Yet he is crossing the river and gets the river crossing penalty. I'm not going to worry too much about that. But just what the river crossing means becomes more... I mean, obviously I'm not building earthworks on the other side of the river. That's not going to protect me, right? And if I crossed the river and had time to build the earthworks, I probably shouldn't be penalized by river crossing on the optional main battle rules. I kind of don't mind with the skirmish rules because I feel like in that case, if I'm attacking, I have to take the river crossing penalty to do the attack. If I'm defending, then I'm able to say, look, I had the movement to get there to dig in. And there's sort of this weird abstraction of Schrodinger's crossing here, where I don't know whether or not I've crossed the river. But when you start getting to that main battle rules where you're selecting individual chits and everything, and yes, I've tried to rectify some of my unhappiness with that, with like, yeah, you would know that the guy's coming across the river, right? Or you would know you would have to cross the river with troops to get there. It's just not clear, like the translation doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm not talking about the linguistic, I'm talking about the representation in the game to any kind of imagined reality. I'm having a lot of trouble with that particular aspect. And it's because I've basically crossed the river and not crossed the river at the same time. Now, I could see hey, you crossed the river and managed to dig in, and that means that you don't have to attack, but if you did attack, you're not as prepared. But that wouldn't be... That's fine in the skirmish. That abstraction is fine in the skirmish. But when you get to the main battle and you're saying, this force requires that you take the river crossing penalty, but the other forces don't, that begins to become kind of weird. It's like, yeah, I don't understand what it might represent. Maybe I can come up with something I could imagine. Maybe it would make sense then to have those hidden. But I just feel like there's certain aspects of how this game handles. Now you can get rid of that by getting rid of the optional combat and just play the regular main battles, where the river crossing would be applicable against you entirely. Take it whichever way you want for that. To some extent, I think that may be the answer. That may be the best answer, is to say, look, if you cross the river, you take this penalty. Now, under this particular circumstance, I don't think it's going to matter, because Saluzzo has a big force. The baronials are going to just take it in the fortress, which means the river crossing penalty is just not going to apply. Unless, I don't know. Actually, it would apply if I stormed the fortress, I think. I don't know. It's just so fucked up. Like, it's a fucking half-month turn, you know? At what point, you know, I've dug in, I've laid a siege. At what point does that river crossing stop penalizing me? It just feels like once you're dug in, you should be able to say, I'm not subject to the river crossing. But on the other hand, why shouldn't the defender be able to use the river to prevent you from getting there and digging in? You know, there's this kind of, come on, you know, if the river crossing is an actual obstacle that would come into effect in the battles, it should prevent you from digging in if the defender wants to defend at the river. And yeah, it's just one of those abstractions that's like, to me, breaking some of the detail of you made this battle, right? I decide to look back at the earthworks rules, and right off the bat, I see I'm cheating all over the fucking place. Baronials can't do it. The force has to be at least two strength points to dig in. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me, because a small force should be able to find a defensive location and dig in, right? I don't know if I can be in quarters if I'm not dug in. I can, in that case. Well, that fixes all these stupid earthworks markers I have. There is that. Let's keep looking. Let me see if it prohibits you from... They have to spend a movement point on any contested hacks. At first, you're not compelled to attack. I do not see anything, though, that covers the issue that led me to look it up, which is that I think the fix for the whole issue is to say, look, you cannot build earthworks if you cross the river to get into the hex, and it's a contested hex. That feels like the tweak to be there, but that tweak is also an unreasonable abstraction, because if I wanted to lay siege to a location, I should be able to build the earthworks after I cross, if I'm allowed to cross. So in this circumstance, you know, these baronials that I've just marched in on, those would be able to prevent me at the river, but if they let me cross and I have enough movement points, I should be able to build the earthworks. Okay, you could go by exception there, but then there's one more. Let's say there's a field force defending across the river, and I'm going to fight a battle with that, but I want to lay siege to the location as well, and I have all the movement points for that. Should I be allowed to? And I feel like that is the one kind of tricky case that this doesn't really easily give an answer to, but there could be the answer of, I spend that movement point to build a contingent earthworks in that hex that I can't use because I have the river crossing in any field combats that I play, but that I can use if and when I get to a point where I want to be besieging the location. And I think all that would work together. That's a really complicated series of rules changes, though. But I think that's what would be needed to clarify the river situation. Particularly nice about what I see there is, instead of, although, you know, I can't recommend anybody playing with, you know, Byzantine rules like that, but instead of just trying to say, okay, there's an abstraction here. You're crossing the river. That's going to affect something with your troops. I'm looking at the more detailed tactical situation and saying, look, that doesn't make any sense. Therefore, that's trying to, that's trying to give more detail to what's actually happening on the ground. So we're solving the issue and getting rid of a weird abstraction that felt funny anyhow. Now, I could do a hand-wavy answer on everything in the basic rules, but I'm more comfortable with the river is actually a defensive feature on the battlefield, as opposed to somehow some of your troops, your troops are kind of fatigued from crossing the river or whatever, and will be affected across the board. And that kind of informs more what it feels to me, so that, like, if I dig in and invest in a siege and everything, I'm not going to be affected by the river crossing that happened 3-4 days ago. Now my boats are still wet. I've come to the end of the line here. So the Venetians have moved up, grabbed a couple of locations. These guys recovered. Saluzzo has moved into here. He will be declaring a siege there. Again, all this chatter has no real effect on what's going on. This siege, hey, I got all these great guns and everything, but I got stand orders, not attack orders. All I can do is try to starve them out, but I have a lot more troops to die. Same thing up here with Valdemar. All he can do is starve them out. We will, and okay, Saluzzo has an attack order though. He's allowed to attack. So let's see what we got here. We got 2 hits on me. I don't have the earthworks bonus anymore, so it's not affecting terrain. Saluzzo ends up, and I played that right early on and then somehow forgot about it. Because troops need earthworks to go into quarters or whatever. A baronial force can't go into quarters if it's not in a fortress, is apparently the case. So they're going to disappear, which I'm fine with. Forces, these kind of forces would disband fairly regularly, I would assume. Okay. You know what? I forgot to pay the extra point for Saluzzo for his W. Okay. Always forgetting those W's. Because I think the letter means something for the combats. And in every other case it does. And in this case, it's at a different time in the game, so it just doesn't, I don't even think about it. Okay, so we've got 2 strength points here. We've got 4, and 5 is 9, so we get the +2 bonus, non-affecting terrain. We try to find the combat table. That's on here. Non-affecting terrain. Quality. My quality is 2. That thing's probably a 1, but I've seen some zeros in there. So I'm at +1 on non-affecting with a +2 to the die roll. And we'll use a blue die because it's the French. And we get a 7, which is a good result. Sort of. We do take a hit. I'll take it on Landsnechts because I'm not really happy with Landsnechts. They kind of suck. And we end up taking this location, which is going to give us another bonus in our world. To be kind of vague. Now, did I take Ultra here? I did, and that's a big deal. But I have the attrition checks. Okay, let's just fucking do the attrition checks since I'm on camera. Over here, Lautrec has 8, 12, 14 strength points. That's why the Venetian had to leave. He put me to 15. To 1 under siege. That siege has a line of communication back, though. It's hot weather. Okay, 14, we're fine at 2. And he's fine at 3. So nothing happens there. And we still have this, but it doesn't mean a damn thing because we don't have an attack marker. And then over for Vortimer, he has a chance of dying. Both are at +1. Okay, we win the siege, and we watch the die spin and spin and spin. It looked big for a while. 3 is going to go to 4. That's not going to hurt me, but we do take this, which is not, oh, there's an earthworks I didn't need, which is not a big deal in terms of, like, I'm not gaining anything for it particularly. I don't want to pillage there. That would, like, lose me the territory or something like that. If I did that, and I really don't want to do that, even though I'd love the APs. I could have pillaged here, though. Could have pillaged when I took this. I think I did that. Let's do that. All right. Well, that's life. And these guys pillaged during movement, so they got a chance to recover afterwards. If they had fought any battles after they pillaged, it would have been a problem. These guys, we will pillage with Saluzzo. I don't think I want to, because I'm on the first turn of this economic cycle. I can lay siege to this as well. Okay, let's take a look at Livorno, though, because this is where things are interesting. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the locations. I have not quite taken Livorno. I have taken Principato Ultra. Switches those over if it matters. You know, we're not going to see another major battle of any interest. Oops, 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 oops. Don't do that. So I'll just move these into their boxes, because otherwise my OCD will get me. And I think that's the end of this turn. So we've taken it from 4-8 to 5-7. It's getting close. It's getting close. I can take this pretty easily. I'm real close to taking Terra del Livorno. So that would bring it to 6-6. If I get Naples, I should win the game. Barely. But this is a hard scenario for the French. I think we can agree on that. Everything kind of, you have to grab territories to get baronials to be able to do stuff. You're facing a very difficult to penetrate wall of baronials being thrown up against you. You have to win the major battles against the Imperials, and you have to do it quickly when you don't have all that many APs. It's better. The AP generation in this for the French is way better than it's been for the attacker in any other scenario that I've seen, though. So there is that. This kind of blows. I decided I would cut some wood. I've been kind of debating. I feel like, you know, doing something physically, right? And I thought about going for a walk. I thought about cutting some wood. My chainsaw was having some issues, so I refilled the oil on it. Okay, that might solve the issue. I don't know. I don't know why it is. I have like a container that I drained oil into, but I basically never need to do that. I don't know what the circumstances were and how I got some in that. But anyway, that exists, and I'm just kind of puzzling. Wow, should I be draining my oil? I don't know. I mean, it gets on the chain and it wears off and it goes away after that, right? So you just have to constantly refill, and I don't really think you need to change it. But I can't think of anything else that I was pouring oil into a bottle for. But then I decide I'm going to come upstairs and unlock my main door because I'd need to brew more tea sometime in the course of the situation. And so I go do that, and I end up breaking my door. which I broke some more so it works now. I gotta get that thing fucking replaced, but you know, it's something that I tried to convince somebody. You know, one of my contacts that like I had come and do a little bit of work for me at one point, but you know, unless I pester him, he's not going to do it, and I kind of feel like he was doing work for me as a favor, so I don't really want to pester him, but he's sort of like, you know, does work, refurbishes houses and stuff. And he lives not far away. This wouldn't be that major a job, and obviously I'd pay him. But yeah, and it's just too much to go through a lot of trouble for. But anyway, by the time even before I break my door, it starts raining again. It had been a pretty dry day, but I guess I knew it was supposed to rain. Actually, I don't think it was, but it's gotten kind of wet, and I don't want to deal with the wood when it's wet. I just, you know, I don't mind it being a little wet, but it's not raining hard or anything. But anyway, now I've given up. I'm back up here. We have fair weather, which is really unlikely for August, 1 in 6. But I realized, wait a minute, I didn't check to see there's a fair amount of baronial units that are just littering the board. So I did the 2 siege situations, but I didn't worry about the baronial. So I'm going to go back and do that. The effect of that, and this was the last thing that would have been done in the last turn, was there was one little intrusive imperial baronial which died. And that's actually kind of a cool advantage. I do notice that this is exposed. The French are going to have to keep one active and move into there to prevent this guy from slipping up that way, the same way as I have one there. This, you know, these guys in the backfields, they become real thorns in your side. Even if I take all of the Tierra Livorno, there's going to be reasons to go back and try to clean out the problems in the backfields. But what about orders for units? Well, the Imperials don't want to change anything. Do the French. Saluzzo has succeeded in his siege, and he probably wants to attack another space, so I'm going to leave his attack order in place. Vadam has a stand order. It would cost me points to change that, but he's got a regular unit. Here's the problem. If I take an attack order right now, that's not good. He's up here. If I take an attack order, this is a white turn. An attack order would mean I'd get a prior attack. But I can try for a maneuver order. If I fail, that's not going to be great, but it's livable. And I'm thinking the very sensitive is almost certainly going to have an issue. I get a 1, so everybody's fine. And this guy, oh, he couldn't even, well, he could, but he wouldn't want to. So I'll get a maneuver order there. And then I'll pay attention to the baronials, see which ones, you know, it's really weird because the Imperials have so few, and they want to be able to do a fair amount. They have so few commanders, so they can only activate 2 of these, but they have so many of them on the board that they want to be able to play around with. Whereas the French don't have a lot, but they feel kind of tied down with some of the ones that they have. I don't think I pointed out, I pointed out that this was not actually part of Principato Ultra, but it's not part of anything. It's part of the Papal States. So it doesn't count as controlled by anybody, essentially, although, you know, I'm holding it. The same way there are French control markers here. If I move out, I have a control marker, and I'm blocking the road. But there's nothing, it's not counting towards, you know, the Principatra Ultra. It's not counting towards anything, and it's not counting towards the other locations that are nearby. It's just this little island that's not part of any of the provinces officially. Just thought I'd point that out while I try to figure out which two I want to activate for the Imperials. But even though the Imperials didn't give orders to this, I still feel like I had to move down here to cover, because I don't necessarily, I don't know that he didn't give orders. It's clear to me, but it's not clear there. Squeezing my way through here, because I can't really take anything with baronials unless it's empty. This guy trying to slip through, this guy slipping past. I don't know where this guy came from back here, and now he may have to run back, or this guy may have to run up there. Just sort of trying to jockey with these things. They're not doing much. Some of them may disappear for being in enemy territory, though. And that's actually affecting the Imperials more than it is the French at this point, because the Imperials we're trying to hold a forward line. I have so many of them. And this poor sucker just marching along. On to the regular commanders. I don't think much is happening this turn, although, what is it? Vermont. No. Saluzzo down here has a possibility of starting another siege. Oh, why not? I don't think I'm going to be using Imperial AAP for anything. I thought about this last turn, but I had already rolled. This time I spent wages and improved my chances succeeding in recovering. That leaves everything up to the French. I had moved, or I had passed with Baglioni, essentially. Kind of what's happening, and I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Vaudem, or whatever, is picking this up, at least temporarily. He has room for it. I could have moved a little further, but I couldn't move to take that, or to attack that. Wow, he's in Heath. That's not necessarily good. Nothing here. There's no reason to leave quarters in a way, because there's no Imperial troops that can challenge anything of any size. Saluzzo moved in. We got this siege to do. This is done. The Venetians moved in and grabbed one location. Well, they left this. They grabbed this. I can get 2 of the 3 in Principato Citra pretty easily. The third one's going to be hard and is going to require a real force. The Venetians can't do shit with just 1 strength point. They could move in and siege. They don't need more forces, which means the baronials could force them into a field battle, which could lose the space more quickly. So actually they're not completely useless. There's some danger of this coming down. There's one, this doesn't matter. This does, and this may. No, so, if this guy activates, he can do some damage. And he is in enemy territory now, so he would have to make attrition checks right now, but the weather's good enough that he's not in any danger, because we got lucky with the later end of August here. Yeah, I think just the two sieges. I don't know if anything else has to check. Weather's good, forces are not big. I think the answer is everything else is fine. Might as well just roll them. Okay, so Lautrec's force, I don't remember how big it is, 8, 12, 14. Have I cut? No, his supplies are fine. 14 with a 3 is nothing, a 1 is not going to do shit. And then over here, this is just a 1. And really, I'm more interested in wiping out the unit. I mean, I don't really necessarily need that location, although actually if this falls, I get control of Livorno. But it does not. And that's going to push us into September turn. The game is running out very quickly. The French, again, I think the French have done about as well as they possibly can. Have I played perfectly? I don't think I'm capable of that, but as close to it as I can, right? But again, this is a scenario that the French historically, as the attackers, failed to do anywhere near this well. So take that however you like. And this is going to put us to an economic and baronial turn. That means baronials are going to come in. That's a big deal because the French are going to start getting some in places that, you know, so like I was worried about this. Well, I can reinforce that with a baronial and block him from any reasonable chance of getting there. You know, if he wants to walk over the mountains, 2 mountains, he's not going to get 6 movement points. Probably. So he becomes much less interesting. You could try to run up this way, but again, just not likely he's going to do much. The forces that they get, well, Tiro de Livorno, I own this. That's French. So hard to remember to keep control markers. So I can't put him there, but I could put him down here or in Naples itself to help defend that. That one's useful, but the rest of these that they have available are really in the backfields where they're not going to be able, you know, they're going to have to walk a long way and therefore take up one of my 2 slots like this guy's doing, you know, to advance to get to the field at all, when what I really need to do is kind of try to hinder and try to slip things behind and do nasty shit and force the French to not be able to utilize their forces for advances. Of course, I have the possibility of just like ramming a unit in. And the problem is pursuit is not very effective. So if we look at if we find the pursuit table, there it is. It's not very effective with a single strength point of infantry. Like, it's just not going to work. So they can just walk away with no problem. Yeah. So I can't force a small force can't force another small force to want to fight. Which you might argue is not unreasonable. And now it looks nice out again. It wasn't supposed to rain at all, but I feel like, you know, activity had its chance today and it failed. I don't know. Maybe I'll go for a little walk, at least dump some books off or something. Well, something changed. I checked my order status and it actually moved from placed to delayed. They still haven't, you know, the email they sent me still said your order was delayed, essentially from being delivered yesterday to still going to be delivered yesterday, which just feels ridiculous. And obviously that didn't happen. I'm beginning to suspect this is not something to do with me not having a phone. And the same is true about last time. That it's just, they decide whether or not, you know, whether or not they can afford to send out several of these things. And they just make a call on it. And like, when you put an order in, they're not really all that committed to giving it to you. Entering here into September, we get hot weather again. Unlikely in September, but, you know, it happens. And this is an economic turn. The French got, I think, 1 point, maybe nothing. I think they got 1. Big -4 on the table. That's going to be painful. Whereas the Spaniards got all their points and maxed out our Imperials, and they don't need anything. I've placed the Baronials on the board. This is kind of a big deal for the French, able to garrison here. This guy up here, I'm not sure if he's a wise idea, but I don't have room for another unit in there, and that province is getting kind of crowded. The real question is, do I have enough time that I can push down and take anything else up here? Principato Ultra, Tiro Livorno, those are my big goals. And then I don't think I can take this. Even though it only takes 3, and I'm going to have 2 of them here. If I take Salerno, it falls. So at least there's that. And again, maybe the minor Capitani can succeed in that. So there's a path to victory in that way. The other side of it, Basilicata is quite large. Body is quite large. Those are going to be hard to take. So I think my focus has to be on these 2 and just hope for the best. I can push up here, but I shouldn't be spending points that I might need. We're coming up on a sheep turn. That will help for the last couple turns of the game. I haven't allocated my commands yet. I got to give you the update, time-wise, whatever. It is... Shit, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's been Wednesday for a while now. But I just trying to remember where I am. It is raid time. It's pretty out. You know, there was just a tiny bit of rain that spoiled my attempted activity. But I did go out for that walk, circled the block, more than I normally do, dropped some books off. Maybe I can... You know, that's a walk I used to take as a break from work, right? If I didn't have a game that I was, you know, really into coming up and playing for you know, a 15-minute break, or if the game wasn't applicable for that, it was a good little, you know, it's not like it's exhausting or anything, but it is nice to get out at all, and I don't know, a little step towards something, I guess, because I have been so frozen. And this is what's important about being up during the daytime and not up during the daytime at the end of my day, right? Like, there were plenty of days where I'm up until 11, maybe 1 or 2 p.m. even, but somehow it just feels wrong to go out. But the fact that I got some sleep and ended up, you know, feeling like I'm awake at all during the day, that is helpful. It's taken me a couple of weeks of not dancing to do it, though. I don't know. I gotta do something to figure out how to get a life that's under some control again, or whatever, because I'm definitely miserable in what I'm living, and I don't particularly want to be miserable, at least not this much. Following my strategy, I paid the big points, what, like 4 for an attack for Lautrec, so that he can try to blow through this and move into Naples. My hopes, you know, whatever. So that's the majority of what points I had available. Saluzzo, I'm giving stand orders to just try to complete his siege operation there, just starving him out. The Venetian miners I rolled for, and they got an attack order. That'll allow me to maybe take this and invest this, or have a fight there. One or the other. They're probably going to be in the fortress. Okay, Baglioni. I just gave him a garrison. I don't see him gaining anything of any interest. I tried to get an attack order on Vaudemont, and I succeed, but it's not useful. And I think this may actually change automatically to a retreat. Oh no, it doesn't. He rolled horribly on this, losing his baronial, getting a disorder on the very sensitive, and getting a for fuck's sake on this, which actually kills 2 strength points. So now I don't have a very large force, but what I was planning on doing was hitting something like this that's out in the open, and I can still do that. And it's not going to be a major battle, so I don't get to use the cav charge bonus or whatever, which is kind of funky. To me, it feels like I should be able to use charges in skirmishes and stuff like that. I don't know. It's like the difference between the major battle and the skirmishes just feels like, again, kind of an artificial weirdness, especially when you're looking at you know, somebody like this who has 2 strength points on him, but he generates a major battle if he's in a conflict with the other Capitano Generale. I don't know. All right, on to moving the baronials, and I haven't figured out what their orders are yet either. I never do that until, like, I kind of do it as I'm figuring out well, before I do the movement, I generally don't fuck up and do it out of order. This is all that's happening with the baronials. Skimmed around through here, slipping through here, the road move here. This guy snuck down from over here. I don't know what he's up to. But of interest, because the Imperials have less of them, I could wait until this guy moved, and he didn't go anywhere. And then I marched in on him. And that means I'm going to force a battle. Now, technically, I would have had to have declared an attack order on that, and I didn't put a counter there. He probably should have one kicking around on him. He can do this for free. It's just kind of, it's kind of painful because I don't have a nice way to record that, but given the situation, I think it's kind of cool, and I think I would have done it simply because I realize that I have the advantage in terms of moving first. Put a battle marker on top of these guys to remind me. And I guess we go to the commandants. Del Vasto has nothing to do. He's in garrison with... So he's just going to pass, so I'll just play with my French. So we got a few things. First of all, we got the 2 sieges underway. We got this battle over here. Vaudemont managed to move in here, have enough movement points to build himself some earthworks, and now he's done the dirty to these guys, which is he's going to force them to attack, which this guy could do too, conceivably. He doesn't have earthworks, but if he gets the initiative roll. These are just going to be skirmishes. They're not going to be that impressive. I don't know if we've done any skirmishes. We haven't done any for a while. All right, let's take a look at this. So they both have the same quality on them. So they roll off. The Imperials get the advantage. So they're going to choose to defend. And that's 1 strength point. Oh, no, this one. That's 1 strength point to 1 strength point. So there's not going to be any edge there. The attacker is in non-affecting terrain. Well, maybe not. Hills may be affecting. Ah, fuck. This may not have been a good idea. No. Non-affecting terrain. And has a +1 quality just because, for whatever reason, some of these guys suck. And Tierra Otranto is not a good unit. So I get +1 over here. I'll be on this column. I've got no bonuses going for me. We just roll. I get a shitty 2. That means we each lose 1, and I lost the battle, but that's okay. I've wiped their unit out. Always on this one for some reason. I've wiped their unit out, which maybe is all I wanted to do. Neutralizing that piece is as good as anything else I think I could get. Well, I mean, obviously, look, I'd rather have... oh no, this guy's from Basilicata. Wiping his unit out is of some value to me. Let's take a look at the other one here. So here, Voldemort is here in entrenchments, forcing this guy to attack. So he's at... you don't have to attack if you're too small. I believe that's the case. I believe if you're much, much smaller, you're not... See, it's kind of weird. It's like you can have all the advantages on your side, right? And you can force the enemy to attack. But if you have too many of the advantages, they don't. This is the wrong area. The common combat. No, it's not. It's back here under the normal procedure. So I believe I can't force him. Forces that are not required. If it's defending inside, a force composed of half or more demoralized. Oh no, I think I do. I think I do have to attack. Okay. So that's one strength point attacking whatever Voldemort has here, which is 4. That means he's got a -2 on him. He's got a quality of a massive 0 versus a 3. The cav is not modified by the terrain. I think. I think Heath is normal. No, cav is halved. Okay. So actually it's only a -1 on the table. And it's non-affecting. So that'll be this column. That cav doesn't add any bonuses in a skirmish. We get a 4. The attacker's wiped out. So we get the success we wanted anyway. This goes away. And again, clear out another enemy unit up there. This wasn't a major battle, so I'm still free to keep pushing forward. Again, I don't think any of this is going to matter at all because I can't take either of these provinces. They're just too big. That's why I rolled to get the attack capability there. And might as well do the siege attrition while we're at it. And there's going to be other attrition too, but this one's kind of important. Saluzzo has 8 strength points. He's facing 1. He does not have an attack order on him. We both have to roll. We both get 6s. A 6 is not anything for Saluzzo because he's too small, but this force is besieged. However, but besieged gets me a star, which does surrender the space. So we took one of these, another one of these spaces, and this is gone. On to the next one. I have the capability, this doesn't have to be, I took attack for a reason. I've got 4 artillery with the siege artillery bonus. I'm going to throw the engineers in just because Naples isn't that big a deal. Like, I know it's not that heavily defended. So, where are special units? They're in here somewhere. Engineers in attack. I roll on a 5 or 6, I get 2 extra artillery SPs. On a 1, I'm fucked. I don't get anything either way. We look for the artillery fire. I've got 4 guns. I've got the siege artillery bonus. What kind of terrain am I in? I'm on hill. That gives me a shitty -1. No, major battle only. Okay. Is this a major city? It is not. I don't get him. I get a 2. Which doesn't help me. I don't get an in breach. I don't get to increase the siege value. So we go to attrition, where I have 6, 14 to 1. I don't do anything to him, and bad stuff happens to me. I lose 1 point of something. I'll take it off these. These arquebusiers are shitty, so I don't want them there. I will look and report back on any baronials This does not become a siege because I was unable to build the earthworks yet. In fact, I'm unable to siege it because I'm unable to build earthworks. But I am able to force it into a contested hex, which means we both roll for possible attrition. Double fives there again. Here it doesn't do anything because I don't have him under siege, so that asterisk result is just a 0. And, you know, I'm basically dicing off with him. One or the other of us may just die. And that's probably the best chance I have because I need to take Chitra. And this, if I succeed here, I take it. If we both die, I maybe can slip something in to threaten it, although he has reinforcements coming up, so I don't know. And yeah, I'll get back to all the unimportant ones. I just had a couple of die rolls, I think. There was one up here. I may have rolled for this, which I shouldn't have. This needed to roll, and I didn't. I think I didn't. He slipped into Basilicata. I don't know why, just to try to see if he can die. They only die on a 6. There was somewhere else I'm pretty sure I rolled, but I don't know where, and it may have been mistaken. All right, that gets us to the end of this, putting us to September 2. I go play Raid, probably come up when it's dark. Okay, weather is fair again this September. I don't think the French are going to alter any of their orders. Well, it's possible an attack order might shift or something like that. Although I need it here. Well, I actually don't. So that's an appealing shift, but it costs a point for anyone except oh no, changing to stand is okay. Interesting. I thought it cost a point to do that. It would cost a point to drop down to maneuver, but it doesn't cost a point to drop to stand, which I probably want to do in order to conduct the siege and not have a prior attack on me in October 1. I think that is the last turn of the game, though. October 1. And that means this is really kind of coming down as a tight and close scenario, which is kind of cool. There hasn't been a hell of a lot the Imperials could do. The French outnumbered them greatly. The only thing going in the French's, or in the Imperials' favor was the French AP total. But I've started to learn how to manipulate the game to allow me to do more with limited APs. It's just taken a lot out of me. Let's see, what do we got here? End date is October 2nd. Okay, so this is actually the last turn. So I've got 3 turns. I think to take this, right? 1, 2, oh, I may want that as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I get Naples, then I can get a win barely. Or if I get this. So I've got a couple of shots at it. Oh, Vaudemont. Lautrec is a bit of a problem up here. Because he's going to be picking up a prior attack. That means the advance on Naples is going to be rough to do. And if I have the prior attack, I can't make it at any time during October. Fuck. Now, if I take this, I get Principato Chitra. And if I get, I think if I take the territory that I'm sitting on here, the one location, let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's over there. Looks like I've got 7. I would need one more other than Naples to be able to get anything. I could march out of here. I'd have to take a... That might be my best move, because this becomes unimportant. And Saluzzo does not have an order. So if Saluzzo had an attack order, he could move into here. But he doesn't have one, so he could conceivably do it in October. Yeah, that may be my best move, is to march on into here. Now, the problem with that is, not really. I have a supply line going there, sort of, kind of. Yeah, I may leave and take the pursuit. And the key is to get Navarro at Naples, where he can use his artillery and I have a chance of taking it. And just abandon the siege, I guess. Interesting. Personal side. Yeah. So I didn't sleep as much as I've been sleeping. And I'm more on the kind of schedule that I was on before, which is the, I don't know how late I'm going to be able to make it today. You know, I'm going to have to at least take a nap or something. I don't know how many hours I slept. All my clocks say different things. And none of them make sense to me anymore. I don't know how that happened, but it just did. And you know, some of them a couple hours off and whatever. As to the lighter fluid, so that returned to the state it was in when I first ordered it, which is placed. The status has changed to that. It says it will be delivered today, but it also says it's due for delivery 2 days ago. Which maybe is technically correct or whatever, but they don't update everything. And, you know, again, that's all automatic and there are probably buggies in it. But, man, I'm not sure this is not what happened before. I kind of remember, like, it going from ordered or placed to delayed, back to placed, to canceled. You know? But it may just be a situation where if they don't feel like they can, you know, provide me with the item ordered without like risking their shelving or whatever, they delay it. And then they're like, well, we didn't get enough in, fuck it. I don't know. You know, it's weird because there are multiple Walmarts in my area, and it's like I could kind of see them saying, "Oh, we can't do it. Can you do it?" And they're like, "Maybe." I don't know. Again, I just don't know what's going on. But I gotta say this much: if it weren't for the fact that it, you know, I'm trying to think. It's like 3 times as much to get it through Amazon, okay? You know, if it weren't for that simple fact, this would be stupid, right? I mean, it's supposed to deliver same day and all that, and that's perhaps fantastic, but it's, you know, it's ridiculous to have, yeah, we'll deliver it to you this day, and now it's 2 days later, and I'm still not knowing whether or not I'm even going to get it. You know? Whereas with Amazon, I put an order and sure, it's going to take 3 days or whatever to get here, maybe a week, but I know it'll come. You know, I'm not left sitting on the fence. Okay. Yeah, let's look at the Vaudeman. Can he, you know, he can't do anything interesting. I could actually drop to a stand order on him, thereby giving him more options, and that would give him a chance to recover this. Of course, he'll probably lose it because I'm not going to have points. Okay, one of many annoyances. My pipes, the mouthpieces don't stay, really solidly on, and I end up using little bits of paper and stuff to hold them in place. Well, my pipe just fell on the map, created a pile of burning tobacco on there. Luckily, it's held up. But yeah, I had that happen in the bathtub. Like I was leaning over to close my drain and the thing, same pipe, but I have a number of them that I have this problem with one way or another. And I remember I was walking home with one and it fell apart in a snowbank and I'm trying to find it with my bare fingers drunk as shit, knowing that like, I can't not find my pipe. All right, I'll be back. I'm in the midst of the baronial movement. Baronials have become a little less important. Shifting some guy up in this direction, covering one of the castles I own. But the Spaniards had to go, or the Imperials had to go first. I'm looking for theirs. They shifted up here to cover Basilicata's castle, even though there's no way that can be taken. Another one to move up here. That could be a threat to these couple, conceivably. But likewise, there's a threat heading down this way. It would take a hell of a couple of rolls for that to work. But, I don't know. It's kind of jockeying around for positioning. And we get to the leaders. The Imperials have really nothing to do. The only thing I could have done, in fact, I want to do. I'm gonna have spent. I'm gonna be dropping this, but I don't need that right now. But I'm gonna spend for a maneuver command. Now that cost me a shitload. Something like 2 points. I didn't do it because I wasn't really thinking. It's hard sometimes to think about both positions, but I've got tons of points, and that allows me to try to grab some of this and prevent Citra from falling. It will put it so that Naples is protected by only one unit, but I'm not really thinking about him trying to leave and hit Naples right away. This roll is kind of important. It's going to be Lautrec rolling against Del Vasto. And Lautrec loses, Del Vasto wins. Del Vasto wants to take the turn because he does not want Lautrec going first, does he? This is kind of a weird thing. It's like, yeah, I could deprive him of his points. I don't know which way I'm going to go because, again, I'm unaware of what he's planning. So, I will try to force Lautrec to go first and see what he's up to. Yeah, we're going to do that, which means we get screwed because this is going to pull out of there. Now, to pull out of the siege, and that abandons the earthworks, it's a 4 to a 3. That's -1. I have 4 movement points. I need 1, 2. So I can expend 2 on the withdrawal. We look for the pursuit table. There it is. Where we're facing that. Let him roll. 2 on the withdrawal. That's going to be a -2 to the die roll. I don't think he can do anything. A 3 is 10%. 10% of 1 isn't going to do anything. And that means Lautrec makes it to Naples. And now I can't utilize my maneuver particularly. I mean, I could, but the pursuit chances are very high. So Lautrec has just protected these 2 locations. And again, I just did that as a random die roll as to, whether or not he guesses what my strategy is. Now we have the kind of annoying situation where Del Vasto, even though he can't do anything, essentially. Has a maneuver order, so he can play his 4 initiative. And now I'm playing Baglioni against him with a 0. Well, Baglioni gets used up, and now I do someone else. I don't know why. So here's the thing. I don't want to go up against him with something that's going to move. Because if I roll a bad die, he has control over, okay, if I roll a good die and he beats me, he can trump me and prevent me from doing much with somebody I want to move. If I roll a bad die, he can force me to take it. Now, if I roll a bad die and I'm not, it's not contested, I take it anyway. But the thing is, my good dice will probably be eaten up by that nice big 4 initiative. So I want to try to foil it. And it's just this weird kind of gamey thing. And it actually doesn't matter because Venetian Miner is going to get the 1 movement point that he needs to build the earthworks so that he can declare a siege. So it was kind of a waste. What's weird about it is that, like, somebody up here on garrison and somebody over here are somehow competing. But the thing is, to get this kind of interactive play, which in and of itself is an accuracy thing, an accuracy addition to what you would see in most games, right? Not just the interactive, but the idea that, like, people are getting to jump on each other and stuff like that, and it's not all predetermined. It's not all like, yeah, well, it's my turn to play a card, so I can predict what I'm going to do. It's not something that easy. There's a little bit of a different kind of gamey nature to it. Look, if it's a straight I go, you go, obviously that's not how troops actually move and interact, right? And you have to do something like that. You have to have all kind of interception rules and stuff like that to try and capture the situation. And the same thing with other interleaved pulse type games, like thinking CDGs here. If this were a CDG, well, I could predict exactly kind of what's going to happen by playing my card. But if I'm moving near you, you might be able to interact with me. In this case, the interaction happens at a different level. And I find this, although I find this an annoyance, the whole, oh look, this guy up here is somehow affecting what's going on down here, even though he can do nothing. I still find it less disconcerting than the idea of I've got a card and I know what I'm going to do and I can calculate it out. Especially when you add in that, the dice rolls affect your movement capability and all kind of stuff like that. I do appreciate what the system does in a lot of ways. Is it harder to get a grasp of what's going on because of that? I don't know if that's really the thing that kills me in this. The cumbersome nature that seems to hit me, some of it has to do with troops being on cards. Some of it has to do with not really just grasping the implications of rules. I am back again right away because I've got a couple of things I want to do. I've got a siege that I'm declaring here. That's not going to do a damn thing because I don't have enough troops to try to storm it. But the siege that's happening here, I do have something I can do, which is fire my artillery. I'm going to throw my engineers in again. I get a 6, that means I get 2 extra guns, and I survive. But honestly, it's so late in the game, this is very likely the only time I'm going to get to shoot the guns, or the last time I'm going to get to shoot the guns. So that's 6 guns with the siege artillery bonus. However, I'm firing against a fortified city, this does add 1. Oh no, this adds 1. Yeah, it was the engineers that I had to roll for. The siege guns are automatic, are not a problem. Okay. I was getting confused. I'm like, wait a minute, I've got 3 different capabilities here. Yeah, it's the engineers who might get killed. So I'm on this chart at even, because the fortified city is canceled out by the firing power. I get a 5, which is probably good enough. I get a 1B. That does a casualty. We will take be like that. These are still, when my pipe dropped, caused issues. I know I did. I bumped everything else, but that one I thought I actually had right. 1, that's the kill. B is a breach result. That means this goes up by 1. Doesn't do a hell of a lot. And I would get a column shift after this, which is assuming I get to fire artillery again, which is highly unlikely. But what I can do is I can storm into the city without losing any value. I can do this with either of my leaders. Fucking Landsnacks. Well, I got to do it here. So this is 4-7 to 2, which means I only get a +1. And my quality is 2. His quality is 2. It is, I think, affecting terrain due to the fortified city. Yeah. And we gotta find the combat chart, which is over here. So affecting terrain at 0, I have a +1 on the die roll. This might not go well. It does not appear to. I get a 1D and he gets a 1. Well, I win because I wipe him out. I capture his leaders and all that, this, that, and the other, but I take a 1. I'll take all my fucking Landsnacks. And then I get a discipline check, but I've wiped him out. My discipline check is 2 and 1. I, in fact, have to take the hit on the Landsnacks. Oh, what did the Landsnacks do? Fuck. They did something. They subtracted 1. What the hell? They subtracted 1 for the unbreach. That cancels everything else out, I believe. So, I don't remember what I rolled. I was here. I rolled this. Actually, I just take the 1D and I didn't take him out. Because I got 1 less than I rolled because I forgot to account for the Landsnack effect. So that's not cool. That's not cool. And reliability is not the issue. It's 2s and 1s. I get a 2 here, which means everybody passes, but I didn't manage to take the force out. Yeah, because I think I was rolling with a +1 and I should have been rolling with a 0 bonus because of the Landsnacks. And that means attrition. I will take care of the attritions that are important. This one is an issue because he's under siege. We're in fair weather, so there's basically no attrition in the other places. That does not fall. This one, I think both sides have to roll. 4, 5, 6, and 6 is 12 to 1. And nobody's hurt. The siege marker's at a 1. If I manage to attack next round without my forces all like disordering, then I'll be firing on an even better table with the artillery and, you know, more likely to be able to kill them. So it might be worth making a roll for that. I don't think that there's any other attrition checks. There's no other combats or anything. So we swing down here to a sheep turn. That will be very helpful to the French. Although I still have to make a check, previous attack to previous attack. I might have been better off sieging here and spend the big points, but yeah, I don't know. All right. I'm so shy of like spending points, but this is the last time I have to. And I don't know, maybe I'll play with the wood. All right, fair weather again. We'll get to things in a bit, but the French got maximal points. The Imperials, who cares? They're topped out again. And really don't have anything that they can do of any value. Okay. Before I jump in, personal stuff again. I went out and cut some wood. Apparently oil was what was needed. I had to give up after a while because it started beeping again. But I think that's battery. I had left it not charging for a few days. That tends to, I think that makes it wear out a little bit. I don't know, but it's just kind of when I'm starting to feel tired and wow, am I? My back hurts and my arms and legs all feel it. It really doesn't seem like you're doing much when you're, you know, using a chainsaw, right? It's not like sawing wood by hand or anything, but damn, it does require lots of parts of your body that maybe you don't use for other things. The second thing is my lighter fluid actually changed, and it's officially out for delivery. But they have this little tracking app, kind of like Uber does or whatever. Not that I use Uber or have seen that, but I've heard about it, and Eats type things and stuff where it kind of shows the vehicle in transit or something. But it's bullshit. It like shows it moving way too fast and then resets and does the same animation again. And it's just like, whatever. But yeah, I'm expecting them to make an attempt. Whether or not they insist that I have a phone, I don't know. You know, there's specific instructions. There's actually a checkbox, just leave it door. And, you know, that's what I gave them, not like phone me. But I do know that the one time I had something delivered, I don't remember what it was, but I think it might have been the lighter fluid. It was DHS that delivered it though, so maybe not, because this is like private people who just drive and do the pickups and deliveries. They just waited out down at the bottom of my hill trying to use the phone. You know, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I got my hopes. All right, got to look at commands. I have to think real hard because Lautrec, I've got a couple of options. If I have attack orders, so if I don't have attack orders, I basically get 2 1 in 6 chances to take this. If I get away with attack orders, and I think I'm going to go for it. So we'll do these. But the problem is with the I have the points for them. The problem is with the previous attack in place, I'm going to be forced to make a discipline check. As long as something and the artillery, well, as long as the artillery and something else. Unfortunately, everything is sensitive. And I think I have to get out of there if I lose the sensitives. What are my chances? I need a 1 or a 2 to succeed on that. Whereas I have, and that still doesn't guarantee I get anything, right? But I get the attrition checks, I get everything else. This is why I shouldn't have attacked last turn. I should have downgraded to a hold order, tried to starve this out, and paid the attack order this turn. Oh, I forgot to give my sheep too. That's, I don't know how much. 1, 2, 3 more points. So I actually have a shit ton of points with the sheep turn. I erred. If I hadn't attacked last turn, I wouldn't have a prior attack, and I'd be able to pay for the attack order. Oops. So here we are, and I'll have to look things up if everybody disorders. But if they don't, then we're fine. But I have to look up to see if I'm forced out of the hex if everybody disorders except the artillery. So what did I do? These guys will just be a hold order. They're not going anywhere. Honestly, I'll keep the maneuver order. I'll pay that on the odd chance that if Lautrec moves away, I can go and cover this and protect that. So why not? I don't expect him to move away, but it makes the most sense. So, what do we got? Actually, I probably can't even afford it because I have a unit there. I only have 1 unit. So let's check Lautrec first. He has to make his discipline check. And he has nothing to help him here. I wish you could pay extra wages. I have them this time. A 1. That's perfect. Everything goes as planned. I think I keep this previous attack. The only reason it would have any effect is like if somehow I lost my attack order and wanted to buy it again next turn. I don't think the game works that way though. All right. To the baronials. We sent another email and it's on its way. And I checked the tracker and before it said 1 stop away, which I don't know what that means, but now it says 7 minutes away. I'm going to try to do something, but I may have to go outside. Anyway, I'll play, I'll fiddle around with the baronials, see what orders they want and whatnot. And she showed up, and the delivery was just wrong. It was like 2 bottles of lighter fluid, when I know I ordered at least a 6-pack. I thought I might have ordered 2 6-packs. I've got all kind of contradictory information about what the order is, and I'm just really confused. But to make life even more fun, and this is how my life works, as soon as I get upstairs or, and check the computer to see what the hell's going on with my order, am I due more? What's up? My internet is fucking down, which it wasn't, 10 minutes ago. I tell you, it's just, I don't know what's going on at all. I don't know if I'm due more stuff, if they're going to give me a refund, because I know I ordered more than this, but like it's showing like 4 items and stuff like that. So I don't know if like I got 2 of the 6 and then they're going to ship the other 4 at some other point, or what the hell's going on, or if they're going to refund me or what, but I can't even check it because the internet's down. And I don't know how I feel. Like, I feel like I'm going to order through Amazon and pay the extra next time, much as I fucking hate Bezos. But anyway, I'm in the process of moving those baronials. It's just I saw a car turn around in my neighbor's driveway that I didn't recognize. Set my router, and it looks, or my modem, and it looks like the internet's back on, but I want to go over these guys first. The excitement, the excitement. All right, so what happened? Well, for the Imperials, they managed to slip 2 in up here. These are threats to these guys for that last turn of the scenario. Whatever's going on, this may not fall because of that. However, the French were able to get one close to here, and then they tried to slip. They're slipping another one down. That could grab this or something. Who cares? Who knows? It's not going to affect anything. This one I was hoping to be able to get down further, but he wasn't even able to move at all because he only got 2 movement points, and there's just nothing he's able to get to with that in the right direction. I'll go check my emails and see what's the fuck's going on. Every time I try to do something, though. Best guess is that the other 4 aren't out for delivery, but are due to me, and they're supposedly to be shipped today. Their communications are really confusing. It looks like I'm getting 2 6-packs, one of which costs about twice what the other one does. Pretty sure I only ordered 1 6-pack, and they did divide this up earlier. I don't know at what point or whatever. I don't know what's happening, but you know, I have fluid for now, and I think they will figure it out. But I left them a review that only 2 out of the 6 arrived, with kind of a poor rating on that. Let them figure it out, and you know, maybe they'll contact me. Maybe they'll just send it. Maybe I'll never see anything again. I don't know, but you know, with two of the lighter fluids. But I gotta tell you that the headache of it all and everything compared to getting things delivered through Amazon is just so high. I went over what moved. I'm on to the commanders. I'm sorry for the disruption. If there's anybody here who's just here for the game and not for, like, you know, my personal angst. I paid the overage for Lautrec, remembering he had a W, but Saluzzo has a W too, and he had paid for his attack, so there goes the extra, or an extra point down. A couple more battles. Vaudemont marched up here to hit this. It's no big deal. Town doesn't mean anything without the walls, which means I get to force my earthworks on him and force him to attack if I so desire. There's some penalty to that because Vaudemont has cav. I don't know. We are in clear terrain, so the cav will actually operate fine, and he doesn't get an opportunity to get out of that hex. Down here, Saluzzo, both of them got tremendous movement rates. Saluzzo is going to also have an attack. He swung up here. His intention had been to siege this. That was sort of a cover my ass. I can do some things. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But if I take Naples, I should be in okay shape. But I may have to fiddle around with some of the baronials. You know, like this guy is free to move and do something. This guy, it's almost impossible for him to get in there. He'd need, oh yeah, I don't know. He's got a fair chance. You know, but I only need 3 of these, and I have 1, 2, and a third one here, and I've got a potential at the siege, and this guy's cutting this off. I could have just placed myself here and that would have been more sure, but I felt like, well, I've got an attack order. I might as well fucking use it. I'm more worried about them playing around here, but if I take this out, they have no more commanders. They can't move any of their baronials. So there's that. All right, let's do the battles. Might as well do them out, because what else is there to do in this game? Vaudemont versus that. Valmont has 4 points of cavalry. He has 4-to-1 odds. I'm gonna force them to attack, which means, no, I can't force them to attack. They're too small. So I come out of the earthworks and attack them at 4-to-1, which gives me a +2. My quality is 3-to-1, which means I'm at +2 on non-affecting with a +2 to the die roll. That sounds pretty damn good. I get a 4. A 4 hits the defender, and I'm fine. Great. This does absolutely nothing for me. There was nothing at risk. Why was I fighting it? I don't know. It clears a unit out of the way for next turn that really wasn't much of a threat. The next one is down here where there is something important. This is Salyuzo. He also has earthworks. He's the one with the... Now that's in hills. So my cav would be halved there, which means I would have 6 strength points. I again have to attack because I'm too big for him to force him to attack. I believe hills is affecting terrain. It is not, but my cav is halved. That's what it is. But hills, that gives me a bonus for my Landsnechts. So I'm at 4, 5, 6-to-1, which means I get the +2 bonus. My quality is 2. His quality is probably 1. It is. So I'm on the +1 non-affecting at +2, +3 for the Landsnechts. Sounds pretty good. I roll a crappy 1. That's a 4. That still wipes out the enemy. And I try to make a mess. That's this guy, I think. Okay, so that's 2 successes. I'll keep this here. That's not going to be a battle, but I've got the siege attack. I've got the guns again, and the engineers. I throw the engineers in. They don't do me anything in either direction. Which means I have 4 guns, but I have a shift for the siege status level, getting me to here. And I have +1 and -1, so I'm rolling it even on the 6 to 7 chart. I get a 3. That gives me another breach and a DC, which is a check. The breach gets me up to level 2. I don't know if that's the highest it goes. Does it go to 2 or 3? It goes to 2. Maybe not. Goes up to 3. Okay. That'll give me 2 shifts on the next turn with my artillery. But I can do an in-breach attack, which is not optimal because I have Landsnechts. And it's artillery. There we go. Yeah. I could send these 2 in at 2-to-1. They would be, I know his quality at this point, they would be quality 0, even quality. Or I could send these in, which would give me, I have 6-to-2, which would give me a +1. So I got to decide whether I'm sending him in or him. quality is going to be the same either way. It's going to be 0 in affecting terrain. At either +1 so I'd have a +1 for size here, but that would -1 for the lands next being there. Or here, I would just have a +1 for size anyway, right? No, I'm at even, because he's doubled to 2. So 0 at even or 0 at even. I'll throw the lands next in because, I don't know. I like to pick on them. I only get a 2, that's probably not good. I get a 1D, he gets a 1. That's enough to wipe him out, but I do have to make a check. We must take it on the lands next to my higher quality unit. I have 2s and 1s here. I get a 5. That's a automatic demoralization and a failure for the higher quality. It does not have more than 2. So my entire force here is demoralized, but these guys weren't in the battle. So part of my army is undemoralized, which means I would get to stay there no matter what. But I also wipe out Naples. Technically, this supply source is still there. And I take him out. I'll be back in a moment. The remaining thing for this turn, which is the... Actually, he has to roll his own as well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the attrition checks. That's all that's left. We're fine. And at this point, it's going to flip over and we won't have to make them anymore. But we have attrition check down here. Now that is my Venetian minor, but on a 6, I get rid of his garrison, his besieged garrison. Now, although I moved down across here, which wouldn't really matter, there'd be a trace here, I'm no longer blocking the road, so he would be able to trace supply down that way anyway. He gets a 4, that's not going to do it. Weather's good and all. We're going to go to the last turn of the game. Let's make sure we have, I'm pretty sure we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these. That's going to flip Terra del Lavoro. And that puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're actually in the lead at this point, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 6 to 6. I counted this. So, because I own Naples, I will win the game, assuming that this doesn't switch hands. Now, all of these markers go away. I don't know if I don't think there's anything that I gained out of this in terms of locations. But if there had been a loose location or something that was owned by the Imperials, I would have made their job a little harder. But right now they still have the capacity to like jiggle things around and maybe take the territory back. I don't see how. Right now they have 2, 3, 4 points. They would have to get 4 more points to take the territory. For them to take 4 more points, they would have to take 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these exposed locations. I don't think that's possible. So I think I'm going to call it here. Yes, there's a couple of little edge cases that haven't been taken into effect. It's possible Principato Citra ends up swinging over. It is not, I see no way, because they can't move any of these. I see no way that they can take anything. And in fact, Principato Chitra is going to push over as long as I get at least 3 movement points. How do I get 3 movement points? I have to roll under a 5 to get there. So yeah, let's just take that into account too. We're going to just skip the next, I mean, the next turn is basically unimportant, although the French could do some tricky things over here. We roll under a 5, so I would be getting this as well, which gives me a clear victory. I don't think there are many ranks to victory here. How long does this fucker go? End date, see special rule, great. So this starts I think probably the same time scenario 2 does, which we had done before. That was the Ferrandino's War or whatever. What does that say? That says start date June 1495. And this one could go as far as April 1496. So it's not even a full year. Whereas this first one, this one, ran from June to August 96. I don't think I want to play another scenario of this. I haven't made up my mind completely. I got a grip on the game finally, I feel like, in terms of how to conduct an offensive. And even though the French historically didn't, so far we've not had a historical outcome except for that tiny little training scenario, the first one, the Otranto one against against the Muslims. But in this was the first time I saw the offensive side actually conduct itself well. It was a close run thing, even though I kind of think I did the French about as perfectly as you can. Like, I really played them as well as I could. I fucked some things up with the Imperials. They might have been able, like if I hadn't gotten tied up in a siege here, they might have been able to maybe stymie things with us against a smaller force or something. But then Naples would have fallen more quickly. And I actually think this one felt like, here's the weird, I gotta switch batteries. And the smell of pine sap, like so heavily. A little sticky, but, because I gotta move the logs around and rotate them and everything in order to cut them with my tiny chainsaw. But anyway, and some of those logs I think I just can't do anything with. Maybe I'll try to make a chair out of one of them or something. They're just fucking huge. Okay, so I feel like in order to conduct an offensive in this system, you have to get it damn near perfect. And to the extent of like finding additional action points to do the things that you need to do that you're not being given. And that was kind of the barrier in the Ferrandino's War and in the fight for the Kingdom of Naples for me, was that, oh damn, you know, some of it was not really grasping the rules at times, but most of it was really not grasping the concept of, well, of you're not going to have enough points to do what you need to do, so you've got to steal points from somewhere. Pillaging or making rolls to activate your units and stuff like that. Things that I'm kind of loath to do. I wasn't that opposed to pillaging, but it can get you in trouble. I feel like being on the offensive, you really have to push your forces beyond the amount of APs you're likely to be getting. And given that, and that the game doesn't really kind of push you in that direction at all, it gives you the rules, but it doesn't give you any strategy notes of what you should be doing or whatever. That's where my difficulties came from. And that the system is, again, cumbersome, and it took a lot of getting used to start beginning to see where my goals, what I need to do to get to victory. In some ways, the victory is hard enough to get to as the attacker. It feels kind of like those ASL puzzle scenarios or whatever. I'm not talking necessarily about the ones in the general, but I'm talking about, and I say ASL, I mean squad leader, because I haven't played too many small ASL scenarios. But I mean the squad leader ones, and maybe the Panzer Bush ones and whatever, where, you really have to cut it real fine to get your victory conditions, and it may be balanced under those conditions. This one I felt like was actually relatively balanced for something that historically Lautrec did not, accomplish. So it's almost a what if. It's what if Lautrec tried to actually follow his orders, I guess. I really don't feel like playing another one. So I think chances are very high I don't. And I'll be coming back with a review instead of piddling around and trying to figure out, another one. I'm almost through my roles for VQ, so yeah. But it was interesting to see things sort of gel and see how the game is meant to be played. And it's one thing for like squad leader or Panzer Blitz or whatever. I can kind of give them a pass on those highly competitive scenarios where it's like one side really has to work their ass off to get this done, and the other side, isn't necessarily all that advantaged. It's actually a balanced game, but one side really has to know what they're doing to make it balanced. And that's kind of how this feels. And with those other games, look, there's people who study them and play the shit out of them, right? So they're okay with those scenarios, and you're just giving them more shit, more things to challenge their mastery of the game. Most people, I think, who play this are not going to be mastering this system, and that's, I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm not the kind of person who masters games, so it's not really, it doesn't particularly appeal to me to have to fight my way so hard to get to the ability to actually function as the attacker in the games. But there are a lot of things I like about this system, and those things are what generates that difficulty in conducting the attacks. It's not like they went about to design a highly competitive, challenging puzzle type situation where, rather what they did was try to design a game that accurately represents a lot of the key functionality. Now, yeah, I have my little complaints. I'll go over that in the review. But, yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's just, and I may have felt the same way about Berg's Ancient World stuff too. The operational stuff there. I felt like you kind of blunder around and you don't know what you're doing, and then once you know what you're doing, it may be more work than you expected out of the game, but it holds together. And I feel like this is in that same sort of realm of something where you can't just sit down and kind of see what you need to do and hope for luck or whatever. Yeah.